In one comeback in the game, this main character went crazy typing at an insane speed to exchange skills with the opponent, accidentally crossing over to a different world. Unfortunately, he crossed over into an NPC, as a supporting character. Not only that, he demanded to solo with the male lead, declaring the future female lead as my wife, anyone who messes with me will die, while he was a useless person, lazy to train and lacked integrity. Not stopping there, he was tempted by the female villain. Just by looking at her, he knew that this woman specialized in sucking energy to bring back to her man. Realizing the danger, he planned to disappear. As soon as he returned to his room and lay down to think for less than 30 seconds. He frowned when he saw her approaching again, this time more aggressively. She undressed, leaving only a seductive transparent outfit, but he said, no, then tossed her clothes out of the room forcefully. But in truth, this host's body also had a bit of intimacy, as he had a noble white-faced wolf lineage. Though transformed, he had a chance to return to his original form at night. By chance, his future wife discovered him in his white canine state, gently picking him up like a spiritual pet. Unlike the cold face usually seen, the main character was carried back to the room by her to sleep together. She possessed a jade spirit constitution, which could attract demonic beasts and was an excellent physique for dual cultivation. Suddenly, he couldn't control himself and started touching her, but he immediately realized, wait, what the hell am I doing? He then thought, if one day, this senior sister wife finds out I'm a dog, I'm screwed. And then suddenly, a naked man with a cannon shows up in the room and greets senior sister. Oh my god, I'll have to log out of this world forever. There are even more interesting plot points, but to save time, let's get into the main content right away. Ning Yiwan lay on the green grass, her neck being tightly gripped by someone. Her body trembled as she struggled to pry the other person's hands off in an attempt to fight back. A disgruntled voice echoed in Ning Yiwan's ear, why do you always look at me with those eyes? However, in the midst of this intense moment, the hands suddenly released her neck. The person looked down at his own hands in confusion and questioned, what's happening? Seizing the opportunity to fight back, Ning Yiwan struck He Qin Yang, sending him flying several meters away. He tumbled upon landing, losing his balance before finally coming to a stop. Clutching his chest, He Qin Yang lay on the ground coughing before sitting up properly. He surveyed the situation and couldn't help but question his reality. Am I dreaming? Is this a dream? He began to panic, this dream feels too real. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through his head. Clutching his head and gritting his teeth, strange memories flooded back to He Qin Yang, forcing him to accept them without resistance. Just as he started to calm down, he was stunned to find a sword pointed directly at his throat. It was Ning Yiwan. After everything that had just happened, she was blushing furiously out of embarrassment and anger. She demanded, if the challenge just now has been settled, why don't you let go? And even more so, at this point, her voice grew softer and more embarrassed. Why did you sit on me? The young man, bewildered as if waking from a midday nap, had no understanding of what was happening. He quickly waved his hands in denial, I don't know. Although it had clearly happened just now, he was now in denial. Ning Yiwan couldn't help but frown uncomfortably, do you still dare to say you don't know why? In front of Ning Yiwan's sword, He Qin Yang's face looked truly innocent, but the senior sister with pink hair on the other side shouted at him, He junior brother, give up, the senior sister doesn't like you at all, now that you have lost twice in a row, do you feel like a fool? He Qin Yang still seemed clueless in despair, when did I say I like the senior sister? Seeing him keep denying. The senior sister couldn't help but point at him, your thick-skinned attitude is truly unbearable. Ning Yiwan believed that He Qin Yang was pretending, she didn't bother to argue anymore and just left with her sword. Junior sister has nothing to say. Let's go. Without a hint of regret, Ning Yiwan and the senior sister with pink hair quickly left with their swords. At this moment, He Qin Yang held his head in pain, he couldn't help but doubt his life, what exactly is going on? It doesn't seem like a dream, there's a cold feeling when the sword is close to my neck. He Qin Yang bent over and coughed up some blood. The young man staggered, leaning against the tree trunk, his mind spinning, his head dizzy with no end in sight. In the memory He Qin Yang had just collected, there was a name, Ning Yi Wan. He suddenly stopped in his tracks, continuing to think intensely, until the young man finally realized, could it be? Could I have crossed into the immortal martial arts game? In the game, the grand disciple of Lu Shui Peak is Ning Yi Wan. At this point, He Qin Yang couldn't help but feel resentful. He couldn't stand still anymore and began pacing back and forth, connecting the details. In that case, it's a disaster. Following the path earlier, perhaps the NPC He Qin Yang provoked Ning Yi Wan for no reason, causing her and senior brother Qin Shen to come together, and ultimately, He Qin Yang's demon clan identity was exposed, leading to Ning Yi Wan killing him with a single strike in the Sky Realm competition 6 months later. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but feel resentment. Why do I have to cross into an unlucky NPC? I should have crossed into the main character like Li Xiaoyao. After a moment of panic with no one to comfort him, He Qin Yang finally sighed in frustration, remembering his past with a hint of regret. What's most important is that I used to skip all the dialogues with NPCs when playing the game, so I can only vaguely remember the plot. However, He Qin Yang quickly regained his composure, his heart filled with determination. Luckily, I've almost finished this game, and I still remember the major events. I almost have a god's perspective. At that moment, a beautiful woman approached, softly calling, He Junior Brother. This bewitching senior sister, named Liao Xian, was an outer sect disciple of Lu Shui Peak. Upon seeing He Qin Yang, she stood there with her hands on her hips and reproached, I've been looking everywhere for you. Seeing this senior sister, He Qin Yang bewilderedly uttered her name. Liao Xian, while thinking to himself, I remember this NPC. She's a sycophant of Qin Shen. On the surface, she's attentive to He Qin Yang, but in reality, she loves Qin Shen. On the night He Qin Yang was thoroughly rejected by Ning Yi Wan and lost his memory, she used the pretext of comforting him to seduce and drain his blood essence, which she then gave to Qin Shen, allowing him to leap 2 realms in cultivation. As Liao Xian sauntered closer, she deliberately tripped over a stone underfoot. Liao Xian put on a seductive demeanor and lunged towards He Qin Yang, crying out, Oh, He Junior Brother, save me. Watching this blatantly fake display, He Qin Yang was at a loss for words. He quickly stepped aside without any chivalry, letting Liao Xian fall flat on her face. Angered and trembling, she clenched her fists but managed to suppress her emotions and sat up on the ground, putting on a pitiful expression. He Junior Brother, why didn't you catch me? I hurt my hip when I fell. How are you going to make it up to me? Faced with this situation, He Qin Yang could only respond warmly, Liao senior sister, men and women should maintain proper distance. I didn't want to ruin your reputation. So please take care of yourself and apply some medicinal alcohol at home. Then, he quickly made his escape. I have something to do, so I'll head back to the dormitory first. Left behind, Liao Xian called out helplessly, He Junior Brother, I can't get up. He Junior Brother. Ignoring her act, He Qin Yang continued running ahead. I need to get back to the dormitory and sort out my thoughts. Witnessing He Qin Yang's complete indifference, Liao Xian's expression turned cold and vengeful. Liao Xian couldn't help but think a lot, how am I going to explain to Qin's senior brother if I just go back like this? With a determined spirit, he lifted his buttocks and stood up, telling himself, no. I can't. He Qin Yang smoothly left the forest, then he followed the memory of the host's home to the dormitory at Lu Shui Peak. As he walked, He Qin Yang thought despondently, now I am a disciple outside sect Lu Shui Peak, still haven't obtained the token to descend the mountain from Sky Realm. Without a mission token, I can't pass through the barrier of Sky Realm. I have to complete the designated task to be able to use points to exchange for the token. He opened the door and entered the unfamiliar room. He Qin Yang sat on the bed looking melancholy. If I can't leave Sky Realm, I will likely die under the sword of Ning Yi Wan in half a year. He lay down on the bed, starting to ponder. Ning Yuan is now at the third-tier condensing vein realm, while I am only at the refined qi realm. By half a year later, she would have broken through to the golden elixir realm. NPC at that time will still be a useless person in the refined qi realm. Thinking of this, Qin Yang couldn't help but sigh, full of helplessness. Sighing was enough, now he started to think more broadly. I have to leave Sky Realm before the competition. If I have experienced joy and sorrow in the game, I must experience it for a while. But I don't know when Liao Xian has followed me all the way here. She leaned against the door and called out, "He, junior brother." Not making any noise, people thought it was a ghost. Qin Yang sat up and could only utter a prolonged "wow." He was extremely annoyed by this senior sister's thoughts. Before could admire more interesting expressions of Qin Yang, Liao Xian immediately approached and began to express, "He, junior brother, senior sister won't like you. Am I uglier than senior sister? Why can't it be me?" 1. He, junior brother. 2. He, junior brother. Qin Yang had already lost faith in life due to the annoyance caused by this senior sister. Then Liao Xian closed the door and began to undress and approach Qin Yang to do things that children should not see. Qin Yang looked at this scene calmly. Liao Xian showed a sympathetic and seductive expression and said, "Or let senior sister comfort the wounded soul of my junior brother." At this moment, Liao Xian stood in front of Qin Yang. Qin Yang was not shy to express his feelings. "He, junior brother, I know I like you." However, at that moment, Qin Yang's face suddenly blushed, and he felt a strange urge, wondering, what is happening? Why do I want to be closer to her? Seeing Qin Yang's obvious signs of attraction, Liao Xian moved closer and continued to seduce. "You can see that your body also wants me." Inwardly resisting, Qin Yang thought, "It's not like that." As Liao Xian approached, she pressed him down and provocatively moved on top of him, encouraging him with sweet words, "Junior brother, I want you." Qin Yang was tempted, but when he saw her determined expression, he couldn't bear it anymore. At that moment, Liao Xian, lying on his body, continued to rub against him, her sweet words encouraging him, "He, junior brother, hold me tightly." Qin Yang seemed to give up resisting, and his trembling hand slowly reached up. Seeing this, Liao Xian was delighted, feeling that she had succeeded. She continued to whisper sweet words into Qin Yang's ear. "How is it? Let the senior sister take care of herself and bring her to the world of extreme happiness." However, what Liao Xian did not expect was that a second later, Qin Yang could resist and immediately threw her off the bed. Liao Xian was thrown across the room with a painful thud, then fell to the cold floor. Qin Yang sat on the bed, pondering about life. Liao Xian lay on the floor looking quite hurt, blood seeping from her mouth. Qin Yang looked at his hand emitting spiritual energy gently and thought to himself, "The power is flowing to the fingertips. Is this the world of cultivating immortals?" He suddenly jumped up, realizing, thinking about the identity of this body, he thought to himself. The host's home is a demon dog. Although only transformed into a human form, it is equivalent to the foundation establishment stage of the demon clan, just the first realm of the demon clan. Caught off guard by Qin Yang's sudden resistance, Liao Xian was injured. She struggled to stand up and asked, "He, junior brother, are you crazy?" Seeing the junior brother who was once familiar to her now so different, she wondered. Qin Yang is clearly just a useless person who has been cultivating for 2 years without a breakthrough in the first realm. How could he injure me when I have reached the peak of foundation establishment cultivation? Qin Yang immediately retorted, "Liao senior sister, I've said before that I didn't want to offend you, as I feared tarnishing your reputation. Besides, this is my room, which I had locked. You entered without my consent." Liao Xian hesitated, feeling touched by his words. "I have long admired you, did you know that?" Qin Yang, without any hesitation, looked at Liao Xian with judgment in his eyes and asked, "If you've admired me for so long, why did you use illusions on me?" This question felt like a sharp knife piercing through Liao Xian's heart. As she couldn't believe he had seen through her use of illusions. She doubted in her heart, how could he have seen through my illusions? He's just a useless person at the qi refining stage. Without waiting any longer, He Qin Yang opened the door to his room, and Liao Xian's hesitant voice could be heard from inside. What are you doing? Give me back my clothes. He Qin Yang simply threw Liao Xian's clothes out of the room. Next is a perfect blow that even the host was thrown out. The room door then immediately closed, without waiting for Liao Xian to run in again. Everything is done, He Qin Yang quickly cleaned his hands. He thought to himself, want to suck my blood essence for her vampire lover's benefit, treats me like a foolish teenager from host's home. The foolish host's home was plotted by Liao Xian on the bed to drain energy. That hot night they were repeatedly tortured until exhausted, unable to bear, and begged for mercy, but she still demanded more. Just thinking about it, sweat poured down He Qin Yang's forehead. He didn't want to end up like that. If I fall into this situation, it's too tragic. He quickly regained his spirits. Although I don't remember the character's story from host's home, when he appeared, he mentioned that the blood essence of the Canine clan is extremely valuable, so his cultivation speed is fast. Only useless person from host's home willingly slack off on cultivation. Then He Qin Yang praised himself, eliminate the evil from the source, I'm really good. Amidst the day, the scene in the dormitory area is peaceful. He Qin Yang sneaked out again. He was hiding in the forest behind a tree, lurking, and when he stepped out, he looked left and right to confirm that there were no people around. He Qin Yang leapt from this tree to another, silently thinking that although there was a barrier, it was just part of the game's setup. The world may have changed, and if he could escape today, he would never come back. He rushed forward, only to be stopped by the solid barrier of the sky realm, shattering his beautiful dreams. He Qin Yang sat on the ground, rubbing his sore cheek in frustration. He sighed, realizing that the sky realm did not want him to leave. At that moment, a girl appeared on the other side of the barrier, then walked in. As soon as she saw him, she exclaimed He Qin Yang. After a brief search, He Qin Yang recognized the girl in front of him and silently called out Jing Qin Qing's name. She was a disciple of the outside sect Lu Shui Peak, chief editor Chronicles of the Sky Realm, a profession similar to a journalist reporting news of the cultivation world. Seeing He Qin Yang's actions, she couldn't help but ask curiously, do you want to go down the mountain? He quickly looked away and made up an excuse, no. No. No, I just came for a walk, got tired and sat down to rest for a bit. He then changed the subject, Zheng senior sister, what mission did you just complete? Zheng Qin Qin didn't hide anything from He Qin Yang. I received news from Chronicles that he junior brother challenged the top disciple of Lu Shui Peak, Ning Yiwan. This is big news. I have to quickly go back and prepare the next issue of Chronicles, it will definitely sell well. He Qin Yang wasn't surprised, this news has already spread in just half a day. The two walked inside together. Zheng Qin Qin explained eagerly, originally, I took on a mission to go down the mountain alone, but halfway there, I heard this big news. I thought the mission would take longer, so I wanted to go back to prepare, but unexpectedly met you. You must give me that news. He Qin Yang's mood was quite desolate at this point, and although it wasn't his fault, he had to explain, this morning you hit your head on your knee, that's just a misunderstanding. Zheng Qin Qin innocently asked, He junior brother, don't you really like Ning's senior sister? She covered her mouth and suppressed a laugh, saying, actually, rumors are spreading that you, junior brother, are jealous of Qin's senior brother and want to marry Ning's senior sister. But there's no need for you to think too much. I think Ning's senior sister only sees Qin's senior brother as a fellow disciple. He Qin Yang immediately denied seriously, how could I like Ning's senior sister? Even though we are both in the Sky Realm sect, Yenyang Peak is still a mountain away. I haven't even met Ning's senior sister many times. However, Zheng Qin Qing then slapped him and said, what? But last time you challenged senior sister and even said in the competition that you would defeat Ning's senior sister and make her marry you. I was there and heard everything clearly. Ning's senior sister is currently at the condensing vein stage, and she will definitely break through to the golden elixir stage in half a year. She is truly a worthy senior sister. He Qin was truly at a loss for words at this point. Zheng Qin ominously told him, furthermore, she was also bestowed a new name by the sect master. We can no longer call her Great Senior Sister in the future. Must respectfully address as Yuhua Lord. He Qin immediately didn't know where to hide his face, he could only helplessly explain, I was drunk that day, so I had a sudden outburst. In his heart, he secretly resented, He Qin, you are just a supporting NPC who dares to find main NPC to fight and even wants to marry me. How much alcohol did you drink? Meanwhile, War God eagerly followed Zheng Qin beside him, constantly asking, Junior brother, tell me quickly, do you have a past relationship with Yuhua Lord? I'll exchange 3 spirit stones for 1 piece of information, okay. Not wanting to get involved any further, He Qin quickly found an excuse to escape. Senior Sister Zheng, I remember I left some medicine boiling in the dormitory, it should be done by now, I'll go check on it. As he finished speaking, he hurriedly ran away. However, Zheng Qin followed closely behind him, saying, Junior brother, wait, then the senior sister suggested a good idea, Junior brother, aren't we neighbors? Isn't it better if we go back together? Hearing this, He Qin could only smile and hope that she wouldn't notice, my mind is definitely messed up today. Then let's go together. Inwardly, he lamented, why couldn't I control my hands to press the skip button earlier? Just then, Zheng Qin, walking beside him, spoke up, actually, I see that He Junior brother's aura is pure. As long as you cultivate diligently and don't slack off, in 3 years, you'll have the chance to compete with Yuhua Lord. There's no need to rush this year, however, he had no desire to team up with that senior sister. According to the original story, He Qin was supposed to die by Ning Yiwan's sword. At that moment, he thought to himself, I don't even know if I'll survive the next 6 months. While He Qin was feeling a sense of hopelessness. Zheng Qin continued, the Yuhua Dream Lotus in Yuhua Lord's possession was bestowed by the Book Sword Sect Master as a championship prize. If Junior brother manages to obtain the heroic Solar Dragon Flame Sword, it would be greatly beneficial for your cultivation. It's just that the current whereabouts of the sword are unknown. He Qin then smiled and bowed, thank you for the explanation, Zheng Senior Sister. But I truly have no feelings for Ning's senior sister or Yuhua Lord beyond that of fellow disciples. Upon hearing this, Zheng Qin moved closer and whispered. No, Yuhua Lord is the idle talk topic of the Sky Realm people, you still have a lot of conflicts with her like that, I really hope you can make progress with her. He Qin was frightened by Zheng Qin's actions, he said senior sister don't tease me, don't think too much. Zheng Qin quickly realized that earlier you must have wanted to go down the mountain, not tired, am I right? He Qin showed no signs, if it's already been revealed, he won't try to cover up anymore, then he said unable to hide in front of senior sister. Zheng Qin then thought, curiously I remember you probably have never received a mission, just complete 4 missions to get the token down the mountain. Free to go down the mountain to play. He Qin innocently smiled at Zheng Qin, he said you plan to go to the resource pavilion tomorrow to receive your mission. As soon as he finished speaking, Zheng Qin looked at him with a scrutinizing gaze. He Qin, who didn't understand, asked why is senior sister looking at me like that? Zheng Qin stared at him intently and concluded that you seem a little different now, before I advised you to take missions, you always refused. Today is so active that it can't be. Before Zheng Qin's sharp eyes, He Qin couldn't help but feel a moment of fear, he was confused inside. Has she figured out that this is not the host's home? If exposed, I wonder if there will be any punishment, will I be struck by lightning? But Zheng Qin innocently asked, could this be the power of love? It turns out that He Qin was scaring himself. After hearing this, he immediately became stiff. Finally, He Qin was able to relax, he smiled and replied, I've only been at Sky Realm for 2 years, the older I get, the more I feel I can't continue to be bored. After a while, it was getting dark outside, and they arrived at the dormitory area without realizing it. Hearing the positive words coming from He-Chin Yang, Zheng Qin calmly replied, He junior brother can think like that, if you ever think of grievances with Yuhua Lord, remember to tell me first. He-Chin Yang pretended to nod a few times, then Zheng Qin immediately went into the room, the door closed behind her with a cheerful sound. Look at my spring and autumn style, I will definitely write up the explosive news for Chronicles. He-Chin Yang outside heard and raised an eyebrow, evaluating, spring and autumn style doesn't sound like it has a good meaning, does it? But then he went back to his room, muttering, forget it, it's night, I'll figure it out tomorrow. But as He-Chin Yang stepped into the room, suddenly his leg turned into a white puppy leg, then with a boom his whole body transformed from a human form into the shape of a small dog. He-Chin Yang immediately got hot, barking a few times in panic, oh my, I forgot that host's home is demon dog, during this period turning into human shape. Why does it have to be now? Seeing himself suddenly transformed into a demon beast, he cried helplessly and kept barking, unable to speak human language. He-Chin Yang thought helplessly, I can't even speak human language right now, how unlucky. With no time to lament, the little dog He-Chin Yang quickly gnawed at his clothes to hide the evidence, plotting to conceal the fact that Sky Realm is a realm of cultivators. Most cultivators hate the demon clan and magic clan. If they discover that I am a demon dog, they might still cut me up to eat. At that moment, the little dog He-Chin Yang's stomach growled, he held clothes in his mouth and cried out in a submissive manner, since I crossed over to this place, I haven't eaten any meals, I'm so hungry. But then, behind him, a voice rang out, is this a spirit beast? Hearing the familiar voice, He-Chin Yang immediately froze in place, this voice, oh my goodness, it's Lord Yuhua. Seeing the cute little dog in front of her, Ning Yi-Wan wondered to herself, whose spirit beast is this junior brother junior sisters? Seeing clearly that it was Ning Yi-Wan, He-Chin Yang was so shocked that he couldn't hold the clothes in his mouth anymore. And she even sat down to pat the little dog's head, no owner, turns out it's a spirit beast without a master. However, at this moment, the little dog's body was trembling violently with fear, so Ning Yi-Wan picked up the little dog and said, this is the disciples' dormitory, if you have no owner, you cannot enter at will. He-Chin Yang was extremely scared, and he thought to himself, I'm doomed. Ning Yi-Wan looked down and saw her robe scattered on the ground, she exclaimed, whose disciple of Lu Shui Peak dormitory is this? How can the robe be thrown at the door? Then Ning Yi-Wan looked gently at the puppy in her arms, are you hungry? Come to my place, I will find food for you, it's pitiful. At this moment, He-Chin Yang was calmed by the scent on Ning Yi-Wan's body, even forgetting his fear, it smells so good, I really want to take a bite, it must be delicious. He regained consciousness and suddenly realized, Ning Yi-Wan has a jade spirit constitution, naturally attracting demonic beasts, if I absorb some of her essence, it will definitely benefit my cultivation. However, He-Chin Yang immediately dismissed this idea, shaking his head against it, no, what am I thinking? Seeing the small creature's actions in her arms, Ning Yi-Wan asked, what's wrong, little one? Hearing her gentle words, He-Chin Yang paused, recalling Ning Yi-Wan's fierce demeanor earlier in the morning, he couldn't help but wonder, is this really the same person? But Ning Yi-Wan's next move directly froze him, as she kissed his forehead lovingly. Don't worry, sister will protect you. The night fell heavily, the scene was quiet. Ning Yi-Wan hugged He-Chin Yang in a white fluffy puppy-like manner. She was slightly interested in the new spiritual items in front of her and said, Master ordered me to go to Lu Shui Peak to deliver things to uncle, unexpectedly I met a puppy in my fate. She gently placed He-Chin Yang on the big table, then let the puppy free for a while. Ning Yi-Wan brought a small towel to help the puppy clean its body, softly saying, let me wipe your feet. He-Chin Yang quickly muttered in his heart, feet? He showed a puzzled expression. Ning Yi-wan did not pay attention to his expression. She immediately reached out to hold one of the puppy's small feet and then brought the towel closer. Looking at the ugly dirty feet covered in dust, Ning Yi-wan teased him, "What a messy puppy." At this time, Qin Yang again blankly echoed the phrase, "messy," in his mind. He blushed a bit. After cleaning the small puppy, Ning Yi-wan folded the towel neatly and explained to him. "It seems we have never seen spirit beast Canine in Sky Realm." Ning Yi-wan took out another comb, eagerly combing the soft white fur of the little dog, cared for it and asked, "Are you a little newcomer here?" Qin Yang has no idea what is happening. Ning Yi-wan's personality is different from usual, making him confused. What is happening? Ning Yi-wan is not like the character in the game. And the little one. Ning Yi-wan is still talking to him. "This morning he junior brother challenged me again, and of course he lost," getting more and more annoyed. Ning Yi-wan murmured about the other person, "He is very strange, everyone says he likes me, but I don't see it." Qin Yang suddenly mentioned was perplexed. He couldn't help but look at Ning Yi-wan and think, "Why suddenly mention me?" Then Ning Yi-wan picked up the little dog, brought it in front of her eyes and said, "Actually, I don't hate he junior brother, just." Was going to say more, but I felt like it would be too long, so Ning Yi-wan decisively stopped and said, "It's nothing, you are just a kid, how could I understand?" Qin Yang felt uncomfortable being stared at like this, unconsciously curling up his tail in front of his stomach to cover his lower body. He thought to himself, "This is too embarrassing, my whole body is exposed in front of Ning Yi-wan." She also chuckled teasingly at his embarrassed actions, saying, "I didn't expect you to feel embarrassed, you really are a simple-minded kid." She then continued to carry the small puppy around the room, before finally heading straight for the bed and inviting him, "Let's sleep together tonight." Qin Yang couldn't help but blush when he heard the key point, and exclaimed in his heart, "Sleep, sleep together." He only saw Ning Yi-wan skillfully starting to take off her outer robe, causing Qin Yang to blush and exclaim in his heart, "Ning Yi-wan really likes small animals, she has a strange hobby to go out and catch spirit beasts to sleep together. Do I really have to guard her while she sleeps?" Just being spirit beasts will not bear to leave Ning Yi-wan. Each time inhaling the scent of Jade's spirit constitution can make them live longer. If they naturally run away, wouldn't it be strange? After contemplating for a while, Ning Yi-wan had already taken off her outer garment, leaving her in thin and cool sleeping clothes. Qin Yang was afraid that she would act crazily and think, "I hope she doesn't undress anymore." Luckily, she didn't intend to undress further and went to bed in her underwear. This made Qin Yang breathe a sigh of relief. It's fortunate she's still wearing underwear to sleep, otherwise it would be too sinful. Ning Yi-wan pulled the curtains down. Finished her tasks on the bed, tightly hugged the small dog in her arms, carefully tucked it under the blanket and said, "Sleep, little one." Qin Yang was extremely tense, with his body pressed against hers in such a way that their skin touched. Qin Yang was in agony and cried out, "Oh, how can I sleep like this?" The more he lay there, the more uncomfortable he felt, restraining himself while crying and thinking, after undressing, "The scent of Jade's spirit constitution is even stronger, I really can't control it anymore." In his heart, Qin Yang wanted to explode, but now he was just a little dog and couldn't do anything. It's impossible to do anything. Later, Qin Yang looked up to check and saw that the girl had closed her eyes tightly. Her breathing was light and steady as if she was in a deep sleep, so he silently confirmed that she was asleep, right? Qin Yang was about to leave quietly, slowly pulling back the corner of the blanket to escape, but he was so cautious that he hadn't even left the blanket when he heard Ning Yi-wan's voice from behind saying, "Hey, don't be so jumpy, just a little voice startles you." Qin Yang was so scared that he trembled, his body hair standing on end. He checked and found out that she was just joking, her breathing was still steady. The situation was too much for him. He couldn't help but continue climbing down from the bed, completely startled. "My goodness, my legs are numb, walking to the ground is a journey." This time, Qin Yang was determined to go out. He looked at the open window, his determination rising. Running out the window wouldn't make a sound, just open it silently. The plan was already drawn in his mind. Qin Yang ran to the window, looked left and right, nothing unusual, no one passing by. He quickly ran out of the room, the puppy headed straight ahead, feeling like blooming flowers as he judged that Yuhua Lord was not too fierce, so the little dog successfully escaped in the night. The next day at the resource pavilion, there were many people in front of the main hall. Perhaps there was a meeting going on. At this time, Qin Yang had transformed into a human figure. He stepped into the main hall. Then there was a whisper in his ear that yesterday someone from Lu Shui Peak challenged Yuhua Lord, jealous of senior brother Qin, afraid that Yuhua Lord would chase after senior brother Qin. Who was the top disciple of Lu Shui Peak? How did Qin Yang compare to him? Qin Yang remained steadfast, ignoring the words of others, but then he heard a voice whispering in his ear, "It's one thing to be infatuated with Yuhua Lord, but to constantly cause trouble for them, what kind of illness do you have?" The words grated on his ears, and he thought, "Stop whispering, why don't you just shout it out loud?" "I heard everything," Qin Yang said as he approached the taskmaster, speaking with utmost formality. "Sir, I'm here to accept an Earth-level mission." The taskmaster pointed to the announcement board. "All the mission tokens for this month have been distributed." "You're too late," he explained. Qin Yang was taken aback. "What?" "But I'm in a bit of a hurry," he protested. The taskmaster paused for a moment, deep in thought, stroking his beard before exhaling slowly. "In a hurry, are you?" He opened a drawer and rifled through its contents, humming thoughtfully. Finally, he produced a mission token and showed it to Qin Yang. "I have one mission left, but it's only worth 2 points, the Huashui Tower zombie case. An Earth-level task. Many disciples avoid it. Do you want to take it?" Qin Yang hesitated for a moment, weighing his options. The taskmaster elaborated, "If you accept it, register your name. The mission duration starts when you leave the mountain. You must complete it within a week. Failure to do so will result in a 2-month ban on accepting any missions." After considering his options, Qin Yang made up his mind and promptly accepted the mission. "So, please help us hang the task card up, we will accept this task. It's already late afternoon, the sky has turned a dull orange." Qin Yang sat in his room. He poured out all the spirit stones from his bag. They all fell onto the table. Immediately, he became despondent as he looked through the pile of spirit stones. He didn't even need to count them to know the exact number. He couldn't help but sigh. 12 spirit stones, low grade, the host's home is so poor. He felt heavily discouraged. Qin Yang held his head. He felt his faith in life slipping away. "NPC, my cultivation isn't going well, and I don't even have enough money. Why go to the Sky Realm? Isn't that right?" I vaguely remember that his status wasn't bad. He was also a brother in the Canine clan, but why so poor? Just as he was feeling low, someone called out to him. A young girl approached him, calling him he junior brother. It turned out to be Qin running over. She seemed very excited. "He junior brother, I heard you accepted the task, didn't you?" Qin Yang greeted her. "Is it Jing's senior sister?" Then he answered her question from earlier. "Just received not long ago, the gentleman gave me a token to go down the mountain for once." Qin eagerly pushed the person up against the window to chat with him. "Actually, I heard that Yuhua Lord also just received a mission to go down the mountain, and I heard that the mission locations of the two are somewhat close." Her curiosity was extremely high, and she pushed the person forward and asked, "Is it intentional?" Qin Yang explained, "It's a task that no one else wants to take on, and it just happened to fall into the hands of the junior." Qin noticed the spirit stones scattered on the table, some big and some small, and couldn't help but mock. "Wow, what is this? Is this all the money the junior has?" Qin Yang sadly lay on the table and complained to his senior sister, "It's just a little bit left." Qin kindly advised, "As long as junior brother completes the assigned mission, 2 points can be exchanged for 10 middle-grade spirit stones. He Qin Yang couldn't help but enthusiastically sit up, wanting to confirm the news. 10 middle-grade spirit stones, isn't that equivalent to 300 silver coins? Zheng Qin watched as he regained his composure and felt satisfied with his performance as a good person. She pushed him towards the door, pushing her hips up high through the window, revealing her slender and beautiful legs. She truthfully presented what she knew: if different dimensions exchange silver, it may be more beneficial. I am telling you this: when you return, you must tell me many tales of the encounters between you and Yuhua Lord. If one day you become a disciple of Yuhua Lord, I will no longer be able to stay in the sky realm. Zheng Qin tiptoed a bit, enthusiastically exclaiming, Yuhua Lord is a top-notch dual cultivator. With that said, Zheng Qin excused herself. Leaving with a, see you later, and He Qin Yang politely bid her farewell. After she had left for a while, he returned to his bitter self, sighing deeply. He then imagined, if I dare to dual cultivate with her, I will die sooner. The scene shifted to early the next morning, as He Qin Yang set off down the mountain for his mission. While walking, he thought about a few things like the Starfire mid-stage, 12 spirit stones of the lower grade. The more he thought, the more complex it seemed. He also thought about the perspective of the gods and realized he had run out of things to think about. He Qin Yang couldn't help but feel discouraged. He sighed and mumbled to himself, I have to think about making money in cultivation. With things like this, I can't escape the sky realm. Going out for a week will make me starve to death, and if I run away in a hurry, mistakes will happen. He remembered his life in the real world, playing games at home, and suddenly crossed over, ending up in an unlucky NPC without any special abilities. Did I come here to be a clown? But I have to admit, this is not the worst crossover situation. Accepting fate is enough. He continued to walk until he saw the lake and remembered, it's been 2 hours, time to replenish water at the lake. He yawned for comfort, not expecting to see a gentle woman playing with water on the other side of the rock. It turned out to be Liao Xian, enjoying the coolness on her body. The pure waters of nature cooled her body. Alone, Liao Xian was leisurely enjoying the peace, when suddenly a madman nearby shouted excitedly, the water is so clear. Approaching closer, both of them felt the presence of another person, causing them to freeze for a moment, neither making a sound. Caught off guard, they both yelped in surprise, especially Liao Xian, who quickly immersed herself in the water and screamed, startling He Qin Yang. Realizing the situation, he recognized a familiar face and softly said, so it's Liao's senior sister. Thinking about her schemes and her clingy nature, He Qin Yang felt annoyed and regretted not running straight down the mountain. Is this lake now considered a bath? He thought. In the lake, Liao Xian calmly asked, He junior brother, did you come to find me? He Qin Yang politely explained, I was just passing by to get some water. If I had known you were here, I would have taken a longer route. Liao Xian suddenly stood up and stared at him, saying, well, it's just the two of us here, no need to be embarrassed. However, Liao Xian exuded a terrifying aura. She had a clear belief that the blood essence of Qin's senior brother was being wasted on her. Seeing Liao Xian all wet and only the two of them here, He Qin Yang was about to leave to complete his mission. Liao's senior sister, continue your bath. Suddenly, Liao Xian rushed towards him, tightly clinging to He Qin Yang, pleading for him not to leave. She began manipulating his emotions, acting much gentler towards him than before, asking who had made him angry. Luckily, He Qin Yang remained cold and asked Liao's senior sister if she was a pervert. Liao Xian fell silent, then threw herself on the ground and revealed her disappointed face. She repeated the word pervert strongly, as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard. She earnestly asked He junior brother why he would insult her like that. He Qin Yang, still determined to stay away from this person, decisively leaving a new segment saying goodbye to Liao's senior sister. She's still focusing on Qin's senior brother, bye-bye. Liao Xian seems to see that this person is no longer as simple as before. In her heart, she feels a surge of discomfort and anger. Does this person know something? Lately, he deliberately avoided me. Impossible. Before, my seductive tricks were very effective. The two of them did not know that their actions had been observed by a third person, who saw clearly the drama from the tall tree. Men on a tree could not help but fall into contemplation for a while. After eavesdropping, he jumped down, then spoke up. He Qin Yang didn't know what game he was playing, admiring his sister on one side, and being vague with Liao Xian on the other. He dusted off the dirt on his body and added more to Ning Yiwan. Just now Liao Xian had taken his liking, but scolded him as a pervert. He could not understand his mental state. Ning Yiwan listened carefully to every word. She gave a serious comment. Li Junior brother, it's better not to judge others' affairs. Li Junior brother replied without much explanation. Yes, senior sister, I spoke too much. He changed the subject. Great senior sister, recently, the Magic Clan has shown signs of uprising. Your mission this time is related to the Magic Clan, so you must be careful. Ning Yiwan coldly advanced towards the barrier ahead, giving him another reminder. Li Junior brother, your mission is not simple. After saying this, she cautiously passed through the barrier, her face maintaining its indifferent expression. Then she bid farewell to him. Li Junior brother, this is where we part. I need to head towards the northern district. The junior brother named Li grinned widely, saying, I wish senior sister a triumphant return. Qin Yang approached the barrier he had always been wary of. Holding his mission token, intending to touch the barrier. As soon as he made contact, his arm easily passed through the barrier and extended outside. Qin Yang was surprised. I can really go through. He quickly passed through the barrier, feeling a bit regretful. It's a pity the descent token is single-use and also has a summoning function. If the mission time is exceeded, it will forcibly return me to Sky Realm. As he ran, he thought, otherwise, would have wanted to escape this time. After a journey, Qin Yang arrived at the location of the mission. He looked up at the gate sign, shielding his eyes from the sun with his hand, casually commenting on the process. Quite close, just half a day's walk away. He began to explore this place. Zhuoyao County is located 15 miles north of Sky Realm, a wealthy county surrounded by mountains and rivers. He watched people chatting noisily, then looked at their tools and thought, although the items for sale are all seen in the game, seeing them in real life still feels magical. Previously, these things were like wallpaper, non-interactive, even the NPC vendors weren't. Now hearing these conversations feels different. He closed his eyes to reaffirm his thoughts. He also realized something. Host's home doesn't even have a decent weapon. Approaching the destination, Qin Yang looked at the sign in front of him, Zhang's weapon shop, and said, this mission is called, the Undead Case. Without a weapon for self-defense, there is no sense of security. Qin Yang securely held the spirit stone's pouch in his hand, looking at it eagerly as he proceeded to step inside. Approaching the counter with a serious demeanor, the merchant welcomed him. The female shopkeeper greeted, young master, how would you like your weapons? She then proceeded to showcase her goods, saying, we have everything, from hidden weapons to battle axes. Qin Yang solemnly examined the array of weapons on display inside. He looked pensive as he murmured, I am a swordsman, so I should have a sword that suits me, even though I do not know how to use one. After a few back and forth glances, Qin Yang was drawn to a particular weapon, a sword that was both intricate and impressive. Making a lasting impression on him, Qin Yang took the sword in his hand, feeling its weight, and asked the female shopkeeper, Madam, how much for this iron sword? The shopkeeper praised him, as with her other products, young master has a keen eye, this sword cuts through iron like mud, perfect for self-defense, it's only 10 silver coins. Qin Yang began to negotiate. It's okay, the shop owner immediately said, nodding his head. Recently, there's a shop that exchanges spirit stones and silver coins can both be used as currency. If it's low-grade spirit stones, young master just needs to give me 3. He Qin Yang felt that this price was a bit expensive compared to his current stash of spirit stones, but the value wasn't bad. He then handed over 3 spirit stones, while saying to the shopkeeper, "These are 3 low-grade spirit stones." In his mind, he was thinking, "It's quite costly." As soon as the spirit stones were taken out, the shop owner immediately snatched them up, and the female shopkeeper cheerfully replied, "Agreed." He Qin Yang took the sword hanging by his side and added solemnly to the shop owner, "That's right, madam. In fact, I am a disciple of Lu Shui Peak, Sky Realm, wanting to inquire about the story of Hua Shui Tower." The shop owner realized that an esteemed guest had come to visit, and she spoke softly, "So it's an immortal master. I've heard about the Hua Shui Tower." She leaned in closer to whisper, "Hua Shui Tower is the tallest tower here. Recently, many men who have been carried out have all been drained of their life force, dying in a terrifying way." After that, she also recounted how the Lord visited the young ladies in the tower, and even had the subordinate dragon flying division distinguish whether the young ladies were all human. If they were human, how they could attract so many men. Surely there must be something impure mixed in. Upon hearing the story, He Qin Yang immediately wanted to investigate, so he thanked the landlady and said, "Now I will go to Hua Shui Tower to see." The shopkeeper also encouraged him, saying if he was an immortal master of Sky Realm, he could definitely uncover the truth. As they parted ways, the landlady emphasized to him from afar that the immortal master must bring justice to the people. He Qin Yang made his way to the location of the mission, where the deserted atmosphere made him feel a sense of dread. Inside the Hua Shui Tower, daily activities were still ongoing, but the number of guests was scarce, indicating that the place had been affected. He thought about how the case had significant impacts on business, and how the tower used to be lively, but now there were suddenly people full of sorrow coming down the stairs, recounting their woes. "Just like this, within 3 months we will have to close," she lamented, holding her head. "Heavens, why are there so many men who have to come to Hua Shui Tower to choose from?" she said before realizing someone was approaching. She exclaimed in surprise, "Aya, guests are here." Madame rushed down the stairs to him, fluttering around offering, "Io, young master, what would you like to drink? Eat? Which lady do you want? Massage? Or maybe you would like to listen to music, or play a guessing game? Our ladies can do it all." He Qin Yang noticed, Madame seems to have gone crazy from poverty lately. Then he respectfully greeted, "I am a disciple of Lu Shui Peak, Sky Realm, here to exterminate demons and protect the Tao." Just as he finished speaking, he felt quite high and cool. Madame suddenly cried and lamented, "My fate is so miserable, immortal master, do you know how miserable I am?" Leaving He Qin Yang bewildered, she leaned on him weakly, trying to win over his heart. "I have longed and longed, finally hoping that immortal master would come." He Qin Yang quickly denied her. "Madam, don't rush," he temporarily reassured her, saying, "Tell me the situation first." However, Madam was still crying, boo-hoo, and didn't intend to speak. It took a while for her to calm down, and she finally began the story. "Over 2 months ago, a male guest was found dead in the bed of one of our girls, which scared all the girls in our house," she recounted. "We initially thought it was due to excessive indulgence, but since then, a guest has died every 3 days." Madam carefully described the situation, still visibly frightened. "The kidneys of those guests were all stolen. It's truly terrifying." He Qin Yang's heart raced upon hearing this. "Aya, is this Burma? They're even harvesting kidneys," he thought. Madam continued, "I reported it to the authorities. Immortal master, you know the business of Hua Shui Tower exists in a gray area. The local authorities and the Dragon Flying Division guarded the place for a few days but felt that since the deaths were confined to Hua Shui Tower, they were too lazy to intervene. Instead, they left it to me to settle with the families, which cost me a lot of money." Madam, unable to bear it any longer, broke down and cried again. "I had no choice but to report this and beg for help from the immortal masters of Sky Realm." He Qin Yang hugged his head and pondered, "In this era, there is no organ transplant surgery, so the culprit cutting the kidney is likely to be a cultivator or an evil demon, but why the kidney? Shouldn't it be the heart normally? Could it be that this evil demon has a weak kidney and needs to replenish it? He adjusted his thoughts. It's not that aspect that's not right, is it? Then Qin Yang thought to himself, if that's the case, dealing with an evil demon cutting kidneys shouldn't be too difficult, as long as it hasn't reached foundation establishment stage, I should be able to handle it. After all, it's just a local task. He turned to Madame and asked, Madame, when was the most recent case? Madame immediately confessed, it was just yesterday, so tomorrow someone from Hua Shui Tower will die. She burst into tears and sobbed, my fate is too miserable. She pleaded earnestly, pressing against the young man, Immortal Master, you must save us, save Hua Shui Tower. Qin Yang was pressured by her closeness and could not move, but he could only nod and promise to do his best. Suddenly, someone interrupted them. She called out, Madame, and the beautiful young woman Liang Er asked Madame, could you please bring me some bird's nest from Wang's shopkeeper? It's been a few days and I haven't seen any. Madame looked at her standing by the staircase and replied, Liang Er, business has been slow lately, with only 3 or 4 customers in total. I can't afford to buy bird's nest anymore. Please wait a bit longer until Immortal Master resolves the case, and I will have someone buy it for you. Liang Er was slightly surprised to hear that there was a newcomer at Hua Shui Tower, but she politely greeted, Immortal Master, and then left, saying to Madame, I'll wait a few more days. After Liang Er left, Madame turned to Qin Yang and introduced her, saying, Liang Er is one of our famous beauties, usually pampered and not in a good mood lately due to financial difficulties. Please don't pay attention to her attitude, Immortal Master. Qin Yang nonchalantly replied, it's fine, and then asked Madame, could you please open a room for me, a regular one will do. I need to think about how to handle this situation. Tonight is a good opportunity for me to observe the structure of Hua Shui Tower and avoid any oversights, Qin Yang said. Madame promptly welcomed the guest as usual, all right, Immortal Master, follow me. I'll take you to a room. Nearly every girl's room in our house has had a death, except for Liang Er's room, which is why she's been in a bad mood lately. Qin Yang was curious and asked, Liang Er's room? Madame led him to the place and pointed out, this is her room. Qin Yang responded, I'll stay in a guest room tonight, and tomorrow morning, I'll switch rooms with Liang Er. Madame knocked on Liang Er's door and politely asked, are you in, Liang Er? Liang Er opened the door and asked. Madam, I've already gone to bed. What's the matter now? At this moment, Qin Yang appeared, and Madame cheerfully explained to Liang Er, the Immortal Master wants to switch rooms with you tomorrow morning, so please be prepared to move out temporarily. Qin Yang, standing behind Madame, softly added, sorry for the inconvenience, Mississippi. Liang Er grumbled in displeasure. Catching the culprit is one thing, but why is a man like him taking a girl's room? Liang Er grumbled. Qin Yang gently explained to her, I am concerned that a villain might cause harm to you. That's the only reason for the room switch. Liang Er moved closer to Qin Yang, lifted his chin with her finger, and looked straight into his eyes, praising, you do have a pleasant appearance. Fine, because you look good, I'll let you stay in my room. Madame quickly smacked Liang Er's hand, separating her from Qin Yang, and scolded, the Immortal Master is not like those other male guests. Show some respect. Liang Er turned away, rubbing the spot where she was hit, muttering, I know. Madame then led Qin Yang to his room. As they walked, she apologized, I'm sorry, Immortal Master. The girls here don't know how to keep their distance. Please don't mind it. Qin Yang smiled and waved it off, it's all right. Reaching a room, Madame placed her hand on the door. As she opened it, she introduced, Immortal Master, this room has a good location. You can observe the entire first floor from here. Suddenly, she grasped Qin Yang's hands tightly. Her eyes were filled with tears. She said, I have entrusted my life to the immortal master. If there is another danger, I fear that my last bit of life will be lost. He Qin Yang hesitantly promised, I will do my best. He smiled, pushing Madame away, saying, Madame, get ready to leave. She still didn't want to go, calling out, Immortal Master. After pushing Madame out of the room, despite her calls, He Qin Yang quickly turned back inside and closed the door. He sat down and sighed. When playing the game at the pagoda, there were side plots but minimal rewards, so I ignored them. If I could go back to the original world, I would never jump into the storyline again. He Qin Yang held the sword and thought, with a weapon now, I will only take action when water rises to my feet. I will help the host improve their skills, hoping the culprit won't be too difficult to deal with. He carefully read the instructions in the book. This assigned task only has 2 points. It means the danger level is low, but we must not underestimate it. After reaching the foundation establishment stage, gathering spiritual energy to the forehead can perceive the spirituality of all things. The higher the cultivation, the stronger the perception, and eventually even able to control all things. Although I am at the star fire stage, it is equivalent to the foundation establishment stage of humans, probably due to physical training. It feels very simple. He Qin Yang tightly closed his eyes to try to feel. In the darkness he seemed to see the different figures of 4 women. He Qin Yang suddenly opened his eyes and said, I can really feel it. He happily continued to read the book. It turns out that cultivation is really interesting. Why would host's home give up cultivation? He firmly declared, as long as I make a little effort. Now I have achieved the 3rd cultivation stage. It is really a waste of talent of the demon clan. While reading the book, He Qin Yang waved his fists forward, shouting loudly, Ho ha. He threw the book aside, and continued to practice punching with both hands non-stop, shouting loudly, Ho ha ho ha Yamaha. The shadow of He Qin Yang's window was still practicing diligently, one leg standing firm, the other leg bent, his hands constantly practicing punches. He looked down at his own hands, thinking, I've basically memorized the first 3 chapters of this skill book. He clenched his fist enthusiastically, determinedly saying, it's so interesting, I must go to the Lu Shui Peak and borrow a few more volumes from the Sutra Pavilion to study. The smoke around him suddenly turned He Qin Yang into the form of a demon dog, one hand still in a determined stance. He immediately whined and cried, saying, here we go again. He Qin Yang jumped onto the bed and said, all right, let's call it a day, relax properly for a day to work tomorrow and lay on the pillow under the blanket. He Qin Yang fell into a deep sleep, not forgetting to say, good night. Outside, as the night fell, the full moon rose high, shining down onto the quiet forest. Suddenly 2 blurry figures appeared chasing each other. Ning Yiwan was pursuing the enemy at a very fast pace. To run or not to run is both a road to death. The man saw her strength and disdainfully laughed, haha, you fell into a trap and don't even know it. Yuhua Lord is just a false title. Above Ning Yiwan, 3 dark figures suddenly jumped out surrounding her. They laughed triumphantly, ha. Ning Yiwan, tonight your jade spirit constitution belongs to us. With a loud shout, Ning Yiwan drew out her sword. She used her treasure, the water moon soft sword, and a cold blue aura began to appear, slowly twisting and turning around the tip of her sword. Ning Yiwan assumed a posture, gathering her energy to launch her attack. Her eyes were filled with cold determination. Then a powerful shock occurred in the forest from Ning Yiwan's technique. The one who had just disrespected her immediately fell unconscious, eyes wide and foaming at the mouth. With a faint aura surrounding her, Ning Yiwan slowly advanced towards the defeated group ahead. One person begged for mercy, but Ning Yiwan showed no mercy. Immediately, she swiftly delivered a decisive strike, sending them to reunite with their ancestors. Ning Yiwan coldly declared, the demons have been slain. At this moment, Ning Yiwan was riding on her sword, leaving the desolate forest behind, a streak of light marking her aura across the sky. She successfully arrived at Zhuoyao County. Standing there with a serious demeanor, she moved forward in a straight direction. At this moment, the light of a new day began to shine on Hua Shui Tower. Just as He Qin Yang was approaching Liang Er, she asked him, "Immortal Master, how do you plan to capture the culprit?" He Qin Yang smiled lightly and replied, "It's confidential for now." As they passed each other, Liang Er asked, "Immortal Master, aren't you afraid of the culprit who cuts the kidneys of men?" He Qin Yang chuckled and said, "Haha, you're still bothering me anyway." They then went their separate ways. He Qin Yang entered the room, observed for a while and commented, "These decorations are pretty ordinary, unexpected." Just then, he heard a voice from outside saying, "The lady here does not receive guests." He lazily looked outside, thinking to himself, "Why is there a lady wandering in the flower tower?" He then clearly saw the other person's face, and in that moment, his face turned pale and he was shocked inside. Why is it Ning Yiwan? Isn't she also doing her own mission? On the other side, Ning Yiwan is negotiating with Madame. She relies on the current situation to multi-level. "Madame, there are not many male guests left." Then Ning Yiwan gently took out a silver ingot and delicately said to Madame, "Do you not want to welcome the guest who brought money to you?" Seeing the money, her eyes sparkled. Just a moment ago she refused. But after a second Madame smiled and responded, "The young lady is right, so are you resting or staying here?" Ning Yiwan observed around, then said, "For one night," and she thought to herself, Hua Shui Tower is faintly surrounded by demon energy. Luckily this demon energy does not smell of blood, perhaps it is a little demon that has not done evil things yet. At this moment, He Qin Yang had closed the door tightly. Even though he was unsettled, he could not stop monitoring Ning Yiwan outside. Not being able to control himself around this woman was truly unsettling for him. However, the voice of Madame came from beside. "What's wrong, miss?" Just reminded her, she came immediately. Ning Yiwan was standing right across the door from He Qin Yang. Outside, her voice echoed, "Who is in this room?" Madame quickly answered, "Who else could it be? Isn't it the lady of Hua Shui Tower?" She thought to herself, the Immortal Master once said not to reveal too much information to outsiders to prevent leaking information. Ning Yiwan reminded Madame, "Madame, you have to pay more attention. Recently, the activities of evil spirits have been more active. Be careful not to lead wolves into the house." He Qin Yang heard this and panicked. Oh no, Ning Yiwan's jade spirit constitution in the game setup can sense the presence of evil demons. Outside, Madame thanked Ning Yiwan, "Thank you for reminding me." Inside the room, He Qin Yang held his head in thought. It was easier in Sky Realm. There were many spirit beasts in the mountain. The aura of spirit beasts is similar to Demon Clan. The aura of Demon Clan will not be doubted by cultivators, but outside, the aura of humans and demons are very different and easily detectable. He lay flat on the bed, covered his head with a blanket. His thoughts were complex. I need to find a way to hide my demon dog aura, or sooner or later Ning Yiwan will recognize it when I return to the Sky Realm. Oh my god, I'm already afraid of running into her. He Qin Yang thought about Ning Yiwan's true nature. In the game, she encounters demons and kills demons, encounters spirits and kills spirits, never sparing anyone. As night fell and the crescent moon began to emerge, He Qin Yang lay on the bed, his head resting on his hands in confusion. According to what Madame said, it's almost time, the murderer may soon appear, right? Suddenly, a scream echoed throughout the Hua Shui Tower. "Help, help!" Hearing that, He Qin Yang sat up, grabbed his sword and rushed out the door. Shouting loudly, "Hey!" At this moment, a figure dressed in all black with only his eyes visible was using a knife to control Liang Er. Seeing He Qin Yang, she shouted for help. The black-clothed person held a bloody sword in one hand and tightly gripped Liang Er's neck with the other, making her struggle to breathe, choking and gasping for air, pleading for the person to let her go. The black-clothed person looked at He Qin Yang with a smug smile. "I didn't expect to find you in this room." Under Liang Er's feet lay the dried corpse of a man who had been drained of spiritual energy, his expression terrifyingly hollow, his clothes were covered in blood. He Qin-yang jumped up and wielded his sword to attack the man in black from behind, yelling, "Let go of Liang Er," but he was hit in the shoulder. The man in black loosened his grip around Liang Er's neck, causing her to scream, "Let go," and then fall forward. The man in black turned around and swung his knife towards He Qin-yang, who leapt high to avoid it. He Qin-yang safely landed and thought to himself, luckily the host's home has the bloodline of a demon dog, not completely useless, with some self-defense skills. Plus the training last night makes this move not easy to avoid. The man in black sweated, furrowed his brow, and said, "Damn, she's a cultivator," then quickly decided to run away. Liang Er was still lying on the ground, and He Qin-yang walked over to gently pat her head and instructed her to shout for help loudly. "I'll chase after the assailant." Though still frightened, she quickly agreed. Immediately, He Qin-yang jumped up high to chase after the man in black, while Liang Er, trembling all over, continued to cry for help. Ning Yiwan heard running and was startled to see Liang Er lying on the ground. She asked Liang Er, "What happened? What happened?" She reached out her hand to lift Liang Er up, but Liang Er struggled to tell Ning Yiwan, "Immortal Master chased after the villain." After saying that, she fainted in Ning Yiwan's arms. Ning Yiwan murmured softly, "Immortal Master, it turns out someone has taken on this mission." In the silent night, the sound of pursuit echoed in the city. Two figures, one in front and one behind, He Qin-yang relentlessly chased after the other, shouting, "Stop, you dog!" He Qin-yang chased after the fleeing figure, shouting loudly, "You can't run away." But eventually, they reached a dead end. He Qin-yang stopped, but the figure was nowhere to be found. He Qin-yang frowned in annoyance, "This guy is fast," vanished in an instant. He recalled their brief fight earlier. From the brief fight and escape, it seems this culprit's cultivation is nearing the foundation establishment stage, maybe even at the early condensing veins stage. This is not good for me. He Qin-yang looked dejectedly at the mission token in his hand. If I let him escape this time, I'll have to wait another 3 days. Who knows if he'll even come back to Huashui Tower after this. He stood alone in a deserted alley, calculating his situation. Including today, it's already been 2 days into the mission. That means I have 5 days left. Thinking about the mission deadline, his mood worsened, and he felt like crying. If I don't complete the mission, I'll be forced back to Sky Realm. If that happens, I'll have no choice but to follow the NPC's storyline in the game, and my fate will be to die under Ning Yiwan's sword. Suddenly, someone patted his shoulder and called his name. "He young master, why aren't you going in?" Startled, He Qin-yang jumped and assumed a defensive stance. It turned out to be a beautiful girl. Seeing his reaction, she looked surprised and asked, "What's wrong?" Seeing him still in shock, she asked again, "He young master, what are you doing?" Recognizing the person in front of him, he asked, "You're the fox demon. Aren't you afraid of me?" The fox demon pouted and, with tears glistening in her eyes, softly replied, "He young master, what's wrong? Why would I be afraid of you?" In front of the dignified appearance of the fox demon, he felt a little confused and waved his hand, "Hey young master, it's nothing, why are you calling me young master? Do you know me?" The fox demon suddenly approached He Qin-yang intimately, making him flustered. "What game are you playing with me, young master? This is still the human realm, let's go to the demon realm market first." He Qin-yang stepped 1 foot out of the green boundary, on the other side a layer of purple light enveloped, which was the demon clan boundary. The two entered inside, the barrier immediately changed from purple to green. Inside, there were a lot of demon beasts. He Qin-yang couldn't help but say a word. "What is this?" Standing in the bustling market, He Qin-yang asked the fox demon again. "Indeed, you know me well," the fox demon replied with a familiar tone. "Don't joke with me, young master, everyone here knows each other." He still doubted. "What do you mean by that, fox demon?" She led He Qin-yang into a shop. As soon as they reached the door, a bunny-eared girl called out to him, "Long time no see, young master. also proving that there was a good relationship between the host's home and the demon realm. The fox demon said to He Yang, 2 years ago, your senior sister asked me to help create a set of demon-locking chains, paid in advance and then disappeared, never expected to meet again today at the entrance of the demon realm market. He Yang followed her into the shop. He was startled when he saw a group of little fox demons inside. As soon as they saw him, they seemed very excited. They ran up to hug He Yang, crying out in unison, "He young master." The three cute little girls looked pitiful with tears in their eyes. They continued to ask eagerly, "Does senior brother still need us to be careful? He young master, where have you been in the past 2 years? Do you want to marry all four of us little sisters?" He Yang, who was beloved at the moment, did not have time to react. In the face of the enthusiasm of the little fox demons who were as beautiful as flowers, he blushed slightly and thought silently, what is going on? Is this really happening? Is this NPC so well developed? The fox demon brought a small wooden box to the table and said, demon locking chains worn on the body can suppress demon energy, only high-level cultivators can recognize it. Then the fox demon sternly instructed his three little sisters at home. You three, get back to the counter and work properly. This is no way to behave, He Yang scolded. The three young girls, looking dejected, reluctantly replied, all right then, this item arrived just in time, He Yang thought as he approached the wooden box, feeling a surge of joy. Isn't this exactly what I need right now? It's like my wish came true. With this thought, he gently confirmed with the fox demon, did I really pay for it? So, I can just take it? Of course, he wanted to obtain the demon-locking chains, not only to deal with his powerful senior sister but also to survive in the sky realm. As he reached out to take the box, the fox demon lightly touched his hand and softly said, actually, He young master, you don't need to pay. You can take everything in the shop if you wish. The He family is a great benefactor to my family. He Yang observed the fox demon's grateful expression and began to understand. She said she disappeared 2 years ago. It's very likely she couldn't leave the sky realm after entering it. With a contemplative look, He Yang decided, for now, I should go along with what the fox demon sisters say. I can't reveal that I've taken over someone else's body, who knows what trouble that might bring. Thinking is doing, He Yang quickly pulled back his hand, then said, actually, I still want to buy some pills, but I only have a few low-grade spirit stones on me. The fox demon enthusiastically replied, spirit stones in the demon realm market are not worth much. Young master, he travels among humans, and cannot do without human items, which are very valuable. He Yang took out a small bag and said, if we talk about human items, I only have this bag. The fox demon kindly pointed out the direction to him. The medicine stall outside is run by a round-faced demon. He Yang turned and left, waving to her, I'll go buy the medicine first, see you later. As he reached the door, he looked around and muttered to himself, medicine, medicine, medicine. He Yang left the shop and went to a stall in front, recalling the fox demon's words as he observed for a moment before affirming quietly, that small stall is probably the medicine stall. He called out loudly, is anyone there? Although he had been there for a while, no one had noticed him. Ignoring this indifference, the mortar and pestle suddenly spoke up, young master, I'm here, startling He Yang for a moment with the unexpected sound. Oh my mother, the owner of the pharmacy is truly a round-faced little fairy. He Yang was taken aback and asked in disbelief, are you the shop owner? The adorable little pot replied stubbornly, yes, young master, what medicine do you want to buy? He Yang took out a small bag and said, I want to exchange this bag for some pills that can help with recovery, do you have any? As soon as he finished speaking, the pot magically absorbed some herbs into it and began to grind them with a crack sound. Shortly after, the pot spat out a green pill and declared, it's done. Holding up the pill, it explained, your bag can only exchange for a 9 revolving origin pill, which can revive the dead, but you can only exchange for one as you only have one bag. He Qin Yang was very satisfied and responded, I'll buy one this time, and I'll come to support you next time. He Qin Yang was extremely happy at this moment, planning in his mind, one torn bag can exchange for one pill that revives the dead. It seems like a great deal. Next time, I'll bring all the miscellaneous items over and see what I can get. He returned to the human realm that night, feeling cheerful. As he opened his room door, he mused, even though I lost track of him, I got 2 precious items, so it's not a total loss. After putting these away, I should check the situation. Another person died at Madam's place today, so it looks like Huashui Tower's business won't last, but just then, a sword suddenly appeared at He Qin Yang's throat. It was Ning Yiwan. Her cold voice echoed, where's the person you were chasing? Facing her, He Qin Yang tried to suppress his panic and pretended to ask, Ning's senior sister. Why are you here? Ning Yiwan's eyes were filled with cold determination as she replied, the demon energy on you is very strong. With her sword at his throat, He Qin Yang quickly explained, maybe it's the leftover demon energy from fighting the culprit. Then, he started to feign guilt, it's my fault for making senior sister uncomfortable. Having just obtained the necessary item yesterday, he was relieved he had used it in time, feeling a sense of hidden joy. Fortunately, on the way back, I put on the demon-locking chains. The aura she sensed definitely wasn't mine. Ning Yiwan collected her sword but still suspiciously said, why? Pausing for a moment, she used her fiery eyes to look at He Qin Yang inquiringly, are you sure? Making him sweat nervously, yes, he replied. Ning Yiwan still didn't fully believe, somewhat doubtful, this demon energy clearly belongs to the early condensing veins stage, why would a task at the regional level involve a demon higher than Foundation establishment? Putting aside her thoughts, Ning Yiwan told him, follow me outside to talk to the owner of Huashui Tower, because walking in the demon realm had demon energy sticking to He Qin Yang's body. She added in a cold tone, I will report the truth to the resource pavilion, extending the mission time. Hearing this, He Qin Yang happily asked, really? Seeing him still standing there without moving, Ning Yiwan turned back to remind him, aren't you coming? Outside the room, the sound of the wind rustled through the leaves. Inside the room, Liang Er was lying weakly on the bed, with Madame caring for her attentively. Ning Yiwan asked softly, Liang Er, have you seen the appearance of that villain? Startled, Liang Er recounted. That person seems to be absent, his face is always dark, must be a demon, that demon. Ning Yiwan continued to ask, did he intervene when you were doing that? And Liang Er honestly replied, yes. Ning Yiwan turned back expressionless to explain to He Qin Yang, when the yang energy is at its peak during intercourse, it is very beneficial for demons or demon cultivators to absorb and nourish themselves, it is very beneficial for cultivation. Although Ning Yiwan is a girl, she spoke frankly like that. He Qin Yang blushed upon hearing these words and silently understood, so that's how it is. Madame anxiously burst into tears, I thought Liang Er had changed rooms, there would be no new danger for the girl to entertain. All because I was greedy and ruined things. Oh, someone died at Huashui Tower again, can't do business in Zhuiyao County anymore. Ning Yiwan asked further, is there any flower tower within 100 miles? Or any place similar to a flower tower where men can engage in intercourse? Madame, crying, replied, there isn't. She thought to herself, so this girl is also an immortal master. Ning Yiwan looked pleased and said, very well, then. That person will certainly return, but they'll have to hide for a few days. Ning Yiwan devised a plan to catch the demon. We'll stay here for a month. During this time, I'll disguise myself as a courtesan, and junior brother, you will pose as a customer. He Qin Yang was startled and stammered, what? Ning Yiwan shot him a sharp warning glance, do you have a problem with that, junior brother? Not daring to object, he quickly complied, no, I'll follow senior sister's instructions. Ning Yiwan then turned to discuss with Madame. Please arrange a courtesan's room for me. During this time, I will work here to avoid drawing attention. Madame was a bit apprehensive. How can I let an immortal master pretend to be a courtesan? This will shorten my lifespan. Ning Yi-wan remained serious. I am here to exorcise demons and uphold justice. Madam, don't overthink it. He Qin-yang, standing beside her, looked utterly resigned but unable to object. Suddenly, Ning Yi-wan turned back, startling him. From now on, if I tell you to stay with me, you will stay with me. He pointed to himself, flustered. I. He Qin-yang hurriedly followed her out of the room, asking, Senior sister, will you not lose your kidney? He worried about his own situation and burst into tears. I turn into a dog again in the evening. This is not safe. I will die before the bad guys kill me. The next day, He Qin-yang sat alone on a rock by the river, holding a book in his hand and practicing cultivation. He thought to himself, the fourth foundation of the 10,000 laws of heaven, it's not difficult to read. Before fighting the enemy, I must improve my cultivation a bit, so he doesn't escape next time. He Qin-yang smirked confidently, I will show my courage in front of the young master, as brave as the sky. Calmly putting the book aside, he focused on his thoughts. The skill instruction book says to open up the air and gather qi into the sea, allowing spiritual energy to flow through the body, then from inside to outside. His body began to emit a mysterious golden light, no distractions in the 8 directions, as the true qi in his body started to move. The spiritual weapon as thin as a cicada's wing was hard to grasp, and the grass around him began to rustle. The flow of true qi emanated from him. After a few days of exploration, I can completely touch this aura. Ning Yi-wan stood quietly observing him from a distance, not knowing what she was thinking. She had some doubts. Since the battle that day, He Qin-yang seems to have changed. Ning Yi-wan remembered his enthusiasm and words that day. Ning's senior sister, from now on I will cultivate in the sky realm. I will defeat you in the competition, then make you my wife. She thought it was strange. 2 years ago, I had never met him, and now he wants to marry me as soon as he comes to the mountain. At that moment, He Qin-yang and Ning Yi-wan were sitting by the lake. Focusing on their cultivation, sitting side by side on the ground, blending with nature, Ning Yi-wan placed her hands on her knees, her eyes closed, creating a green aura around her. Suddenly, Ning Yi-wan opened her eyes and said, the sun is about to set behind the mountains. He Qin-yang, still immersed in his cultivation, paid no attention to her words. Ning Yi-wan turned to look at He Qin-yang on the other side. Seeing He Qin-yang different from before, Ning Yi-wan thought, I've heard others say that He Qin-yang at the outside sect of Lu Shui Peak is unfocused and unmotivated, but today, I see he's far from the rumors. All over He Qin-yang, a red aura was emanating, and he appeared very focused. With effort, there will be success, he confidently thought to himself. The host's body's resilience is like a sponge. If I keep training like this, I might break through to the transmutation stage in less than a month. Amazing! What kind of constitution is this? He Qin-yang folded his arms and burst into laughter, confusing Ning Yi-wan, who was observing him. He thought to himself, advancing so quickly. My fellow disciples should be terrified. He continued laughing, even scratching the back of his head with one hand. Let's see if I can make them envious to death. His triumphant laughter echoed, while Ning Yi-wan looked helplessly at him, unsure of what to say. Soon, night began to replace the clear scenery after a long day, and it was time to return to Hua Shui Tower. He Qin-yang is not okay. He started to worry, his hands on the table shaking. His whole body was trembling, with a worried look on his face, thinking, I might turn into a dog again tonight. I must cure this illness or I will die. Just then, there was a commotion nearby. He Qin-yang reflexively looked towards the other side to observe, and it turned out that Ning Yi-wan had returned. Seeing her, he immediately ran to greet her. Ning senior sister, you're back. He Qin-yang smiled and asked without any hesitation, Ning senior sister, where did you go today? Let's have tea, haha. Ning Yi-wan walked away coldly, ignoring the person next to her, and sat down on a chair while He Qin-yang stood there. Ning Yiwan said, I observed the junior disciples all day, and after the sun set, I went back to the sect to investigate further. He Qin Yang quickly caught on and asked, You observed the junior disciples all day? He Qin Yang thought to himself, and I had no idea. Ning Yiwan held the teacup in her hand, not looking at He Qin Yang, and said, Yesterday, when I entered the tavern, I felt a trace of demon energy. Ning Yiwan suddenly became serious, then she continued, Today, the demon energy has dissipated. Hearing this, He Qin Yang's face suddenly darkened, and he couldn't help but shiver, feeling lucky in his stomach. Yesterday she must have sensed her own demon energy, then I wore the demon locking chains, suppressing the demon energy so she didn't feel it anymore. The atmosphere between the two stagnated. He obviously knew that this senior sister's jade spirit constitution had a vast magical talent. Just a whiff of it exuded the aura of demons. She could kill demons when encountering them, and even demons would perish with her. He Qin Yang reluctantly looked down at Ning Yiwan, feeling uneasy and suspicious. Could it be that she already knows her true identity? After much contemplation, He Qin Yang finally continued, It must be the demon energy left by that demon, so I wanted to take a look inside the city to see if there was any remaining demon energy. To gather clues, it turns out that He Qin Yang was just scaring himself. Hearing that, he breathed a sigh of relief, thank goodness. Ning Yiwan did not discuss further. She stood up and said to him, Late now, go take a bath and sleep, He Qin Yang hesitantly said, scratching his head. Senior sister, a man like me, we shouldn't share a room anymore, otherwise it's awkward during bath time, Ning Yiwan teased as she approached He Qin Yang. Junior once said he wanted to defeat me, marry me as his wife. Why are you avoiding me lately? He Qin Yang replied with a smile, I was young and arrogant, just talking nonsense back then. Senior sister, don't take it to heart. Ning Yiwan bowed her head and said, Oh, so it was just nonsense, then suddenly looked up. If today I keep asking Junior to serve me during bath time, what would you do? He Qin Yang's face turned red, his eyes wide open. Both surprised and puzzled. Ning Yiwan was very bold. She started undressing without hesitation, then asked for help. Junior brother, please go fetch hot water for senior sister. He Qin Yang was stunned to see this scene, clearly showing his embarrassment. Outside, the moon was shining quietly, illuminating He Qin Yang and Ning Yiwan's room. At this moment He Qin Yang was pouring hot water for Ning Yiwan, and after getting the water, Ning Yiwan went in. Her outfit was hung up on the screen divider, while He Qin Yang sat outside waiting for orders. Ning Yiwan began to step into the bath, the steam rising up. She sat down to enjoy it, her hair covering her back. On the other side, He Qin Yang's heart was burning like fire. He was trying to suppress himself. Don't turn into a dog, this woman is unpredictable, if not careful today will turn into a feast of 4 dishes and 1 soup. In the quiet space with only the sound of water, Ning Yiwan's voice suddenly spoke up, He Junior brother, what did you learn at the outside sect? From behind the screen he replied, Senior sister, outside sect doesn't teach much. Ning Yiwan, sitting in the tub, agreed, yes, I've heard about that. The water surrounded Ning Yiwan. She continued, don't you want to learn more? I can teach you. Hearing this, He Qin Yang forgot about the current situation and eagerly looked inside. He told Ning Yiwan, but in the sect, they don't allow passing on individual skills. In response, Ning Yiwan didn't show any shock or anger. She coldly stared at him and asked, Has junior brother seen enough? At this moment, realizing his actions, He Qin Yang closed his eyes and turned away. Sorry, senior sister, I got carried away. Ning Yiwan, sitting inside with judging eyes, then warned him, I am not imparting skills, just in a few days we have to catch the culprit, I don't want junior brother to hinder me, understand? Blushing slightly, He Qin Yang replied, Senior sister, rest assured, if anyone asks I will say I learned from the skill instruction books in the Sutra Pavilion. Hearing the satisfied tone from Ning Yiwan inside, that's the best, but at that moment, He Qin Yang suddenly startled, realizing in an instant that he was terrified. Tonight he would truly transform into his demon dog form, because his tail had been exposed. Panicked, with senior sister right beside him, he immediately hid his tail. He Qin Yang screamed internally, I said there's a possibility of transforming tonight. While Ning Yiwan was soaking in the bathtub, the hurried voice of He Qin Yang came from the other side. Ning senior sister, I suddenly feel a bit hungry. I'll go find a place to eat a bowl of noodles. You go ahead and take a bath, take your time. Seeing junior brother rushing like that, Ning Yiwan silently sighed in her heart. After being a cultivator for many years, still unable to control the desire for food. He Qin Yang, with his tail exposed, immediately ran away as fast as he could, hurriedly leaving the Hua Shui Tower, with great speed. On the other side, there was a girl inviting guests. Sir, over there is the mist room. Ding ding, girl must take good care of the sir tonight. But He Qin Yang ran out without stopping, and when he looked down, his hand had turned into a dog's paw. He was extremely frightened by this speed, then he jumped high with force. After this jump, his whole body turned back into his original form as a demon dog, but luckily he ran in time. This situation is too dangerous. He Qin Yang thought to himself, I have to investigate the identity of the host's home to understand how to control the transformation key, so that I won't accidentally run into Ning's senior sister. My journey to a different world will end. He Qin Yang followed his instinct and ran straight into the forest. Suddenly he paused, his eyes widened and sparkled. From the other side of the forest came a tempting scent, and he immediately sniffed around. He quickly found his way through the bushes and his eyes eagerly looked ahead. He exclaimed in his heart, found it. Hot skewered fish appeared in the distance, accompanied by the figure of a beautiful girl in a black coat. But he only had eyes for the enticing fish. His face lit up with joy as he exclaimed, that's grilled fish. However, he suddenly froze as he saw a beautiful girl in a black coat, wearing a conical hat and accompanied by a fat cat. This girl, Qin Lian Xin, was the owner of the delicious fish. He accidentally caught her attention, and she remarked softly, oh, it's a little dog. Then Qin Lian Xin smiled and asked, is the puppy hungry over there? He was taken aback and looked around, confirming that there was no one else there. He pointed to himself in confusion. Seeing the signs of this small dog, Qin Lian Xin immediately affirmed, it's that one, my little puppy. Seeing a cute little dog with a collar around its neck, Qin Lian Xin said, so the little dog already has an owner. Don't wander around late at night. If you get lost, your owner will be very sad. He Qin Yang barked a few times excitedly, thinking to himself, this little girl is too gentle. Then Qin Lian Xin happily brought the grilled fish to He Qin Yang, and gently said, eat, it's already cooked. Receiving the fish, He Qin Yang was overjoyed, his eyes sparkling. While nibbling on the grilled fish, he accidentally glanced to the side, and saw the fat cat in He Qin Yang's sight. It even raised its claws and meowed a few times, warningly, little brother, is your owner's fish delicious? I warn you to eat quickly and leave. The little dog barked excitedly a few times when it saw the cat. With the fighting spirit ingrained in its blood and a competitive nature, it held the grilled fish tightly and approached the cat, barking lightly, aren't you afraid I'll compete with you for favor? Not only that, He Qin Yang also has a cute pose and challenges, I look lovely, do you feel threatened? Provoked like that, the fat cat immediately raised its eyes and claws in anger, then showed a superior attitude, I am a spirit beast, what are you? How can I feel threatened? A cat and a dog thus bore enmity because of the dog's teasing words. Seconds later, both immediately rushed into a fight, Qin Lian Xin outside waving her hands trying to stop them, stop quickly, don't fight anymore, but because she was too hasty, she accidentally tripped over a rock on the ground, causing her body to fall forward. She couldn't control herself, and her cloak got caught on a dry tree branch. Seconds later, Qin Lian Xin fell to the ground. The loud noise directly caused the cat and dog to stop their fighting. At that moment the cloak flew off, revealing long, slender legs, a scene that unintentionally caught He Qin Yang's eye. This woman is only wearing underwear and a cloak. When she fell to the ground, she exposed herself like that. Seeing this shocking scene, He Qin Yang suddenly blushed, his nose started bleeding, and the fat cat quickly rushed over to give He Qin Yang a comforting headbutt. Meow meow, it warned him, don't look. The little puppy He Qin Yang was hit on the cheek, causing it to swell, and he cried in silent frustration. Qin Lian Xin, feeling a bit of pain, furrowed her brows and said, I must correct this bad habit promptly. Suddenly, He Qin Yang saw something that made him blush, his eyes widened, and his mouth dropped open. It was a sight that would make any young man go crazy, but what exactly he saw, no one knew. He silently thought, this angle is terrible, I can't see everything. Qin Lian Xin immediately picked up her coat and put it back on her, then sat down on the ground, murmuring to herself, it's getting cold at night, lucky I brought my coat when we went out. He Qin Yang was still in a daze, his face dumbfounded and his nose still bleeding. Seeing this, Qin Lian Xin asked concernedly, little puppy, what's wrong? Why are you bleeding from your nose? He Qin Yang awkwardly covered his nose, thinking, is this what they call blood qi rushing up? Anyway, I am a boy with plenty of blood qi. She gently wiped the dog's face with a handkerchief, and softly instructed him. The dry weather makes it easy to get nosebleeds. Go home and drink plenty of warm water, Qin Lian Xin advised, causing the puppy to blush and stare at her intently. He thought to himself, I know drinking warm water is a cure-all. The fat cat behind them, exuding evil energy, warned, don't think I don't know why you're getting a nosebleed. This is my master, don't even dream about it. He Qin Yang, with a lewd expression, responded, what can you do to me? Qin Lian Xin stood up, then wondered aloud, I wonder how things are at home. Just thinking about it made her turn around angrily, muttering to herself, why should I care? My parents don't care about what I think, so why should I care about them? The cat and the dog, both gnawing on fish, looked confused. He Qin Yang turned to the fat cat and asked, what's wrong with your master? The fat cat replied, Master and Madam are forcing her to marry another young master from the beast-taming clan. He asked, puzzled, so, you are eloping? The fat cat, helpless and sorrowful, answered, what else could we do? That young master is huge and crude, he could sit on a pig and kill it. The fat cat sighed in frustration, in reality, my lady can't escape. Madam Master can hear animal noises, she will quickly find the young master. Qin Lian Xin sensed movement behind her. She reached into her clothes and shouted, who's there? Qin Lian Xin held a long whip in a defensive position. At this moment, Qin Lian Xin was tense and worried, how did my parents find me so quickly? What should I do now? A mysterious figure appeared, and then a sweet voice of a woman sounded, so it's the beast-taming clan. The newly arrived person turned out to be Ning Yiwan. She casually walked over and continued, no wonder the demon energy scent has been so strong lately. He Qin Yang was slightly startled to see the senior sister had arrived. He could only silently curse, damn it, Ning Yiwan reunited with the familiar little dog. She thought to herself, it's the dog from that day, no wonder it has been missing for a few days, turns out it went down the mountain to play. She remembered herself holding the little dog in her arms, then secretly letting go and murmuring, today, let He junior brother take care of it. Qin Lian Xin asked cautiously, who are you? Ning Yiwan didn't try to act superior, she answered. When asking someone's identity, you should introduce yourself first. To avoid being impolite, Qin Lian Xin introduced herself, I am Qin Lian Xin from the beast-taming clan Qin. I travel the world with my spiritual pet. Now it's your turn, Ning Yiwan briefly greeted, Sky Realm, Lu Shui Peak, Ning Yiwan. Upon hearing this, Qin Lian Xin jumped excitedly, exclaiming, are you the Yuhua Lord? Oh my god, I've met the real one. Ning Yiwan, seeing her excitement, looked a bit puzzled. He Qin Yang, watching the scene, was taken aback and started sweating, thinking, senior sister actually has fans. Qin Lian Xin, blushing and stammering, said, I've admired you for so long. Yuhua Lord. Can I get your autograph? Holding a knife, Qin Lian Xin threw off her cloak, revealing only her thin undergarments. With the sharp knife in hand, she boldly expressed her admiration. You can carve it on my back. It doesn't need to be on paper, my idol can directly carve it onto my back. Ning Yiwan and He Qin Yang were both taken aback, staring in bewilderment at the intense scene unfolding before them. The lifeless body stood there speechless, even the expression on its face distorted. Ning Yiwan approached Qin Lian Xin from behind to help her put on her shirt again, then she suggested, forget about signing, I'll give you a present. Qin Lian Xin smiled and replied, this is good enough. Ning Yiwan took out a delicate wooden comb and said, if you don't mind, I'll give you this comb. Qin Lian Xin was like a happy child. Her eyes sparkled as she hugged the comb to her chest. Singing joyfully, He Qin Yang and Ning Yiwan helplessly watched her, while the little dog secretly thought, I should run away while I have the chance, just as the tension was high and he hadn't done anything yet. Ning Yiwan's voice came from behind, saying, you can't leave. Caught red-handed, the little dog froze in place. He Qin Yang turned pale, sweat pouring down his face, reassuring himself, I have the demon-locking chains, she probably can't sense my demon energy. Ning Yiwan couldn't help but sit down and touch his neck, asking, you didn't have a dog chain last time, do you have an owner now? She didn't recognize this tool for suppressing demon energy. He Qin Yang ignored the unusual gentle appearance of senior sister, his eyes widened as he looked at her and nodded. Ning Yiwan smiled gently and said, of course, with your cuteness, I'm sure many senior sisters will give you gifts, right? Ning Yiwan then tied the cute little dog around her neck and said to Qin Lian Xin earnestly, I sense demon energy around here, so I came to patrol. If it's caused by your spirit beasts, it's okay, I'll take this little dog with me. I'm used to it. Qin Lian Xin sadly asked, do you have to go? Ning Yiwan pointed in a direction and replied, I'm staying at Hua Shui Tower nearby. Then, Qin Lian Xin cheerfully exclaimed, I'll come too. After arranging for Qin Lian Xin, Ning Yiwan took the little dog back to her misty room. The crying He Qin Yang helplessly said, I'm about to be scolded again, this senior sister is truly a nightmare for me. Ning Yiwan smilingly said, now that you're here, tonight He junior brother won't bother us anymore. It's certain that demon thief won't appear today, He junior brother will live to see tomorrow is not a problem. But in reality, He junior brother in Ning Yiwan's eyes is right in front of her, unconsciously becoming her favorite thing. He Qin Yang dissatisfiedly thinks, am I worse than a dog? Ning Yiwan fondly caresses the puppy's face, comfortably saying, your fur is so soft, and you smell good, not like the usual smell of dogs. Then she continues to sniff repeatedly and exclaims, so fragrant. He Qin Yang helplessly thinks, this is a bit weird. She affectionately looks at the puppy and says, let's go to sleep together. Ning Yiwan uses some technique on the door. Looks at it and reassures herself, I've locked the window, He junior brother will figure out how to get in when he returns. Hearing the locked door, He Qin Yang turns pale with fear, muttering, this space is too private, but in reality, the one being cold-shouldered by senior sister from beginning to end is still in this room. Feeling like there's no way out, He Qin Yang starts to panic, his face turning green. What if a big person like myself appears in the room tomorrow morning? The more He Qin Yang thinks, the more frightened he becomes. After that, the man suddenly appeared in front of senior sister naked. Currently, the little dog is gaining favor with Ning Yiwan, while He Qin Yang is the one being hated. If that scene happens, Ning's senior sister might just send him back to his grandparents with a sword. He desperate cried in his heart, I'm not ready to die yet, but when lying next to Ning Yiwan, He Qin Yang threw away all shame. Leaning on her chest, he praised, so soft. In that moment, he unconsciously turned to embrace Ning Yiwan's ripe peach breasts and licked them. Senior sister's body smells so good. Suddenly He Qin Yang woke up from the enchantment, his face turned black with horror thinking, wait. What am I doing? Ning Yiwan noticed him and called out. She looked at him fondly, I thought you were a playful puppy, turns out you're just like other dogs who like to lick people. He Qin Yang clutched the red blanket blushing and shyly thought, oops, I'm drawn to Ning's senior sister's jade spirit constitution, can't control myself, luckily I'm a dog now, if I was a human, would have vanished into thin air. But what if Ning's senior sister finds out I'm actually a dog? I can't even imagine that, he thought, his face going blank as he considered the dreadful possibility. Looking at the mountainous landscape before him, He Qin Yang felt a bit tense. His face flushed, and he opened his eyes wide, thinking, but what harm could a small dog do? It's not my fault she was born with a jade spirit constitution. Whether it's demons or ordinary cultivators, anyone who comes into close contact with her can't control their excitement. She forced herself on me. I'm the victim here. Having thought it through, he rolled into Ning Yiwan's embrace with a satisfied look on his face. She continued to whisper. I need to give you a name. What should it be? Usually, only spiritual pets are given names. Looking at the small dog, Ning Yiwan asked, do you want to become my spiritual pet? He Qin Yang blushed and barked once, contemplating, probably not a good idea, right? If I agree to become her spiritual pet, how will I escape down the mountain? But she seems to really like this dog. If I refuse, she'll probably be very disappointed. Seeing that he didn't respond, Ning Yiwan spoke up again, saying, I know, you are still young and don't want to leave your parents too soon, it's okay to wait until you grow up and agree with me. If I become a spiritual pet, I have to follow my master for life and may never see my parents again, she thought to herself. He Qin Yang cheerfully exclaimed, his heart full of emotions. Ning's senior sister's treatment of animals is completely different from her treatment of people, always cold and pushing others away. She smiled gently and said, let's go to sleep, tomorrow I have to teach skills to He junior brother, hopefully he will learn quickly. He Qin Yang barked in response, leaning against Ning Yiwan happily thinking to himself. Her eyes always seem to be on guard, she must think a lot, doesn't she? Suddenly He Qin Yang felt fear and unease, wait, this is really not good, just now I was softened by her gentle gaze, locked the door and now I'm being held in her arms, tomorrow a naked man will appear on the bed with a big cannon like this, if senior sister sees me, I only have death waiting for me. He Qin Yang turned into a small dog, all his powers gone. Although she was in the arms of a beauty, she was crying and sighing heavily, senior sister's skill is now unbreakable for me, can't get out, oh my god what kind of hellish joke is this, who will come to save me, save my life, I won't die under the sword in half a year, will I? What's left in half a year, tomorrow morning I will end the different world journey. It was late at night, the moon in the sky casting a soft light, but He Qin Yang was still awake, his once lovely face now devoid of spirit, his eyes showing dark circles, looking pitiful. He quietly counted each passing second without daring to blink, afraid that if he opened his eyes again it would already be morning. Then the next episode would not have him. This is what Ning's senior sister wants, to make the little puppy unable to run away like last time. He Qin Yang also couldn't enter this room, but in reality she was just making things difficult for one person, waiting and waiting. Now Ning Yiwan has fallen asleep. He silently rejoiced, senior sister is asleep. Ning Yiwan is sleeping so deeply she doesn't know what moon or sky is, her breath gentle and even. He immediately jumped off the bed when given the chance. He Qin Yang's puppy walked to the door and stared outside. In the end, in order to protect this little life, he boldly came up with a risky plan. The only way left was to break into the house. Late at night outside the Hua Shui Tower, He Qin Yang was actively digging a hole to escape. He was sweating profusely, thinking to himself, I must dig out in another hour. Suddenly, a shadow appeared behind him, startling He Qin Yang. Ning Yiwan was standing behind him, calmly asking, woof woof, what are you doing? He Qin Yang froze upon hearing her voice, his heart racing. He slowly turned around, his eyes teary, and let out a cry. He Qin Yang panicked, thinking, when did she wake up? Have I been making too much noise? There's no way to explain this now. Ning Yiwan seemed to understand and said, I know, do you want to go pee? I'll let you out. He Qin Yang happily nodded and barked continuously. He was relieved, thinking, is it that simple? Ning Yiwan raised her hand to unblock the restriction, smiling happily as she said, go ahead. The door immediately widened on both sides, and He Qin Yang eagerly ran outside as if flying. Ning Yiwan didn't know anything, just smiled and thought, looks like I've been patient for a long time. She was returning to bed when suddenly she sensed something that made her stop. Ning Yiwan turned around cautiously thinking, there's demon energy. She quickly leaped into the air. He Qin Yang was now sitting against a tree panting. He gasped and said, phew, luckily I made it out. He crossed his arms worriedly and thought to himself, this time if I transform, I'll end up naked in the wilderness, but at least I won't die completely until the next morning. He Qin Yang propped his chin on his hands and pondered, I'll still go to Demon Market to find the 3 fox sisters and buy some clothes to wear. Having made his decision, he walked to an alley, but there was no one around. He looked around and wondered, I remember entering from here, why is there no entrance now? He Qin Yang recalled the image of the fox demon telling him, young master, why do you ask me such a question? We are both demons, born with the ability to sense the existence of Demon Market. This time, brother came to explore very strangely. It seems that he has forgotten a lot of things, even forgot about the entrance to the Demon Market. He Qin Yang thought to himself, Ding Min seemed to have mentioned something about the entrance. The image of the fox demon continued to say, although the demon clan and human clan have reconciled on the surface, there are still many cultivators in the human world who hold grudges against the demon clan. The entrance cannot be fixed in one place, but each time it opens it will not be too far away. He sighed in frustration and said, can only look around here. He Qin Yang began to search around. He noticed something was wrong and turned back. A demoness was flying in the air, causing him to gasp. She quickly disappeared at the entrance on the wall. He Qin Yang opened his eyes wide in excitement thinking, found it, the entrance. Suddenly he felt a bad premonition, sweating profusely wondering, why is Ning's senior sister's aura getting closer and closer? He Qin Yang turned around and saw Ning Yiwan flying towards him. He was terrified thinking, it really is senior sister. He Qin Yang rushed into the entrance in a panic thinking, run. Ning Yiwan stopped on the ground. The vigilant woman glanced around and muttered to herself, the demon energy suddenly disappeared. Ning Yiwan furrowed her eyebrows thoughtfully, suspecting, there might be an entrance to the demon market around here. She snorted and turned away, saying, evil monsters like you are lucky. Ning Yiwan silently vowed in her heart, one day, I will uncover the secrets of your demon market. Meanwhile, inside the demon market, a beautiful demoness with a seductive and gentle voice teasingly asked, he young master, what trouble are you causing today? The other demonesses laughed and playfully responded, with one remarking, I didn't expect little he young master to be so excited and enthusiastic. Seeing He Qin Yang naked, all the demonesses laughed loudly with delight. A red-haired demoness teased, oh, little he young master, junior sister finds you amusing. Blushing and scratching his head, He Qin Yang awkwardly pleaded, sisters, I have something to attend to. He Qin Yang sweated, exclaiming, it's fortunate that I transformed within the demon clan's territory first, or else. Ning Yiwan, with a dark expression, glared at He Qin Yang with a contemptuous look, pointing her sword and declaring, you're dead. This made him fearful, thinking, I almost lost my life. He Qin Yang hurriedly ran away, shouting back, we'll talk later, sisters. He burst into a room, quickly opening the door and raising his hand to call out, Miss Ding, please help. As he entered, he saw several little fox demons looking frightened and confused, hiding in a corner. Shortly after, one of the little fox demons recognized the person in front of them and sighed in relief, saying, so it's he young master. He Qin Yang laughed and scratched his head, saying, sorry, sisters, I suddenly transformed into human form without clothes. The other fox demon sighed in frustration. He Qin Yang wondered to himself, why did they seem so tense just now? The fox demon then used magic to quickly cover He Qin Yang's naked body with new clothes. He marveled at the outfit and exclaimed, impressive. The fox demon suggested, he young master should go to the 100 goods hall in the demon market and exchange for a spatial stone. He Qin Yang, intrigued by the unfamiliar name, straightforwardly asked, what is that? The fox demon explained in detail. The divine weapon is the spatial stone, capable of storing objects that humans say, spatial stone of low level can already hold an entire room of items. In the human realm, a low-level spatial stone is worth 10,000 premium spirit stones, but in the demon market, we only need to take out slightly better human items, which can be exchanged for one. You can take out any amount of clothing when going outside. He Qin Yang closed his eyes and nodded, so that's how it is, then smiled and said to the fox demon, next time, I'll bring enough items to inquire about. He Qin Yang looked around before asking, by the way, where are your sisters? The fox demon pretended to look worried as if hiding something and said to him. Ding Min's sister has already left. He Qin Yang didn't think much and just turned around, waving goodbye, then please pass on my regards to her. Next time, I will come to visit the four sisters again as I have something to attend to now. The fox demon also bid him farewell in a soft voice, he young master, take care. He Qin Yang took each step on the long road in the demon market, suddenly pausing to ponder, wait, just now, Ning's senior sister seemed to be chasing after a certain demon clan. Is that the person who flew over us and then slipped into the demon market? He Qin Yang closed his eyes, unable to help but think, I wonder if she has left by now. But the entrance I came out of is not the same as the one earlier, so I probably won't run into her. Returning to the Hua Shui Tower, He Qin Yang quickly made his way back. Standing outside the door, he called out, senior sister, are you asleep? In his mind, He Qin Yang thought, I have to play my part well. The door opened, revealing Ning Yiwan calmly sipping tea. He asked, senior sister, are you not sleeping yet? Ning Yiwan did not beat around the bush, observing He Qin Yang before saying. You went out for noodles and even changed your clothes. He Qin Yang immediately explained, I encountered some troublemakers on the way, and the shop owner helped me handle them. Unexpectedly, one of them got angry and threw a bowl at me. The shop owner thanked me for my help and lent me these clothes to wear. I will return them tomorrow. This is the excuse I thought of on the way back. Ning Yiwan didn't want to say anything else, directly telling him, acting with righteousness is a good thing, tonight junior brother doesn't need to sleep in this room. He Qin Yang heard that and immediately asked, huh? Will it affect senior sister's demon-catching plan? In his heart, he was somewhat happy, not having to sleep in the same room is great. Ning Yiwan also recounted to him, tonight a demon came to Hua Shui Tower to investigate and was seriously injured by me, managed to escape in the chaos, I chased after her for a few streets, she was lucky to escape into the demon market. He Qin Yang suddenly exclaimed. Huh? Ning Yiwan couldn't understand his action and asked, junior brother, what's wrong? He Qin Yang fell silent and came up with a conclusion, came to investigate Hua Shui Tower, could it be the demon kidney cutter? But it's not the right time yet, and she was injured by me before, why rush like that? Ning Yiwan heard these thoughts clearly and replied, the thinking of demons and humans are different, maybe it's because she was injured by junior brother that she wanted to test her luck, cutting the kidney here again. After that, Ning Yiwan coldly told him, all right, it's late, go to bed. He Qin Yang also bowed and said, senior sister, good night. Tonight, He Qin Yang had gone through a long journey, and dawn was approaching. Standing on the second-floor balcony, he looked down at the street below and thought to himself, why is that culprit so persistent with Hua Shui Tower? It's irrational to risk coming here to die. Suddenly, he became serious, there's one thing I don't understand. He Qin Yang put his hand on his chin in confusion, he's gentle with the dog, but critical of me. Am I not the dog? He felt a pang of sadness. If she treated me even a tenth as well as the dog, maybe I wouldn't have to die. But Ning's senior sister doesn't seem like the type to flatter. Off to bed, tomorrow we must train. Qin Lian Xin waved her hand enthusiastically and called out, wait for me. Her eyes sparkled with anticipation, I want to train with everyone too. Ning Yiwan explained softly. Qin Lian Xin, the beast-taming clan and Sky Realm are two different factions, Qin Lian Xin exclaimed in surprise. She hesitantly apologized, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to think too much, it's just not easy to meet Yuhua Lord for the first time. Her voice trailed off slightly, I won't go see it anymore, I'll wait for you here and have a meal together. Ning Yiwan replied calmly, thank you. In the forest, Ning Yiwan and He Qin Yang stood chatting by a small river, the sound of water flowing gently. She spoke first, He junior brother, what is your current cultivation level? He Qin Yang scratched his head with a bit of embarrassment, I won't hide it from you, senior sister. It's embarrassing to admit, but I just broke through to the perfect refinement of qi yesterday. He smiled awkwardly and said, you used to criticize me for being careless in my cultivation. He Qin Yang thought to himself, since the aura star fire and perfect refinement of qi look similar outwardly, I can pretend that I have achieved perfect refinement of qi and Ning Yiwan probably won't notice anything. Ning Yiwan remained impassive, saying seriously, it's okay. The skill I imparted to you today only requires you to step into the first level of refinement of qi. In the extremely quiet forest, the two stood facing each other. This time, Ning Yiwan still spoke first, junior brother, can you step on the water and cross to the other side? She asked seriously, holding He Qin Yang's hand, I remember this lesson in class. He hesitated and scratched his head, replying, it's not possible, it's embarrassing to say, I used to not study respectfully. He was somewhat surprised and understood, elder sister wants to teach me Qin Gong, Ning Yiwan didn't blame him at all, she patiently taught He Qin Yang, I understand, I will teach once, and then you observe carefully. Today we will learn the first step of cloud walking, if you can master this in the future, you can learn floating clouds wandering around. Then she raised her slender and white legs up slowly to demonstrate, first gather qi under your feet, imagine your feet as two flat boats, the qi is the flowing water under the boats, you must control this flow to form a stable qi cushion under your feet. He Qin Yang's eyes were very focused and dreamy, he may not have understood much but surely the thing he had been staring at the whole time was Ning Yiwan's graceful legs, she lightly placed her foot on the water, and a gentle stream of true qi spread out. Immediately after that, you must gently push the air in your body out, like a leaf falling on the water, floating along with the water's movement, your body must move like that leaf following the flow of the air. He Qin Yang Qin Qing eyes contemplating deeply. The explanation of the body's host's home for cultivation is 10 times faster than normal people, what senior sister just said may be able to grasp the essence immediately. He focused on sensing the true qi gathering in his body, the strong red true qi began to radiate under He Qin Yang's feet, Ning Yiwan leaped up. You must remember that all of these things need to be relaxed and natural, she gently landed her foot on the water. Water is the softest, but can penetrate rock, your body must be agile like water, Ning Yiwan stood lightly and firmly in the water, only then could she float on the water. Suddenly, He Qin Yang stood firmly in front of Ning Yiwan, water splashed at his footsteps, He Qin Yang excitedly exclaimed. Senior sister, you are a great teacher. Ning Yiwan looked surprised and murmured. Junior brother, she looked at He Qin Yang with a hint of doubt. Junior brother, you have learned. Did you already know and still deceive me? At this moment, he was still bewildered and asked, what's going on? Then he looked down to see he was standing on the water's surface. He Qin Yang's eyes widened in astonishment as he blurted out, what? Ning Yiwan, not understanding, asked, what the hell? He Qin Yang quickly waved his hands to explain, nothing, it's just a local expression from my hometown, it means surprise. I really didn't know. I didn't deceive you. I didn't think that trying it once according to your instructions would. Inwardly, he was extremely surprised at the NPC's capabilities, thinking, what the heck, host's home, what is your body made of? You understand with one word. You learn with one attempt. Isn't it quite unreasonable that you didn't learn anything 2 years ago? Is your design completely unused? Is this a shit design? He Qin Yang looked at the host's home's body in frustration. Ning Yiwan, somewhat astonished, thought, it took me 7 days to grasp the concept of gliding on water, but he just learned and immediately knew how. Calling him a genius isn't enough, He Qin Yang, worried, began to sweat profusely. It's over, senior sister must also think like me, to dispel the suspicion of the fake smile explaining senior sister just now not proving, wanting to be proficient must practice more. Ning Yiwan was a bit rushed, she instructed her disciple to stay here to practice, she returned to the inn for a trip, a genius cultivator like this must immediately report to the master, so that the master could transfer the disciple to Yenyang Peak to become an inner sect disciple. Thinking and doing, she immediately drew out her treasure sword. He Qin Yang waved goodbye to senior sister enthusiastically. Ning Yiwan rode the sword flying away, creating a wave of water. The one soaking in that water was He Qin Yang. He wet all over. He slowly walked to the shore hugging his head thinking he felt wrong prediction before, just practicing like this for less than 5 days he could break through to the material transformation stage. The more he thought, the more worried He Qin Yang was, not knowing if there was any divine weapon that could hide the aura on his body. Tonight he had to find the opportunity to go to the demon market for another trip. Still better be careful, at the inn under the clear blue sky and shining sun, Ning Yiwan was kneeling on the bed, surrounded by token in front of her floating in true qi. From within the token came the voice, young one, what brings you to seek the master? She respectfully looked up at the token and said, Master, you and Peak Lu Shui Peak are sisters, it shouldn't be difficult to take a disciple from outside the sect, right? The token replied, oh, this is not a big deal, have you set your eyes on someone yet? Ning Yiwan thought of He Qin Yang and said, a disciple from outside sect Lu Shui Peak, his name is He Qin Yang. The token shook and the voice that came out seemed amused, He Qin Yang, oh I know that kid, I've seen his miscellaneous stuff on Chronicles, quite well written. Ning Yiwan blushed and exclaimed, Master, you shouldn't be watching those unruly things. It's not good for you, the token chuckled and said, who knows, I might suggest you watch some too. Seeing her embarrassed face, the token gently said, spending all day like a spinning top, when will you find the path of cultivation? Ning Yiwan retorted, Master, you're not much better than me, you've even left your cultivation behind. The playful teasing struck a chord in her heart, causing her to blush and protest. True chi around the token faded. What's wrong? I still have to have a little chat with the sect master, just like before, Ning Yiwan hurriedly interrupted. The token ran out of true chi and fell on the table. Ning Yiwan sighed helplessly. Half a month has passed, and there have been no incidents at Huashui Tower. Guests come and go, with Madame warmly welcoming them in. She is overjoyed, smiling constantly. In her heart, she is grateful to Ning Yiwan for helping out, and having 3 immortal masters looking after things has improved business. He Qin Yang and Ning Yiwan stand on the upper floor observing the bustling activity below. Ning Yiwan's face is calm, her demon aura from before when she was injured by me has almost healed after half a month of cultivation. She attentively watches the crowd below, reminding He Qin Yang to be vigilant tonight, as it is the day of her past actions. Beside her, He Qin Yang looks at Ning Yiwan with some curiosity. Why is she so insistent on getting involved with Huashui Tower? The more he thinks about it, the more he finds it difficult to understand why a demon clan like her cannot go where she wants. Isn't there a tall building a few dozen miles ahead in Zhuiyao County? How must risk many times, right? Hearing his words, Ning Yiwan's eyes became sharp. He must have a deep connection with Huashui Tower, wait until we catch him, we will know the truth immediately. Suddenly, Qin Lian Xian's spirit beasts unexpectedly jumped over the heads of the two. It let out an angry roar. Bell continuously howled, its fur bristling and sharp teeth showing extreme vigilance. Qin Lian Xian chased after the spiritual pet. She hurriedly ran out of the corridor explaining, Bell detected demon energy. Qin Lian Xian frowned urgently, saying, this demon clan is very cautious, they must have a divine weapon to suppress the demon energy. It disappears in a split second. Ning Yiwan was slightly surprised and asked, suppressing demon energy? He Qin Yang next to him immediately became uneasy. He kept rubbing his hands because the demon-locking chains he wore on his hand was too obvious, so he had switched to wearing it around his neck a few days ago. He Qin Yang suddenly became worried, afraid that changing the position of the ring had leaked demon energy, making the cat notice it. He wondered, it couldn't be me, right? Many days passed without sensing any demon energy on herself. The street was bustling with passers-by, and Qin Lian Xian carefully observed the crowd below. It's really hard to distinguish due to the large number of people and the faint demon energy. We can't scare the crowd unnecessarily. Ning Yiwan remained calm, confidently stating, it's okay. When she releases demon energy, we'll know where she is in a moment. Her cold eyes and sharp words sent shivers down He Qin Yang's spine, rendering him speechless. As night fell, the atmosphere on the street became busier. The restaurants were brightly lit, welcoming guests. Liang Er, a beautiful woman, stepped forward to welcome a wealthy guest, leading him upstairs to rest. He Qin Yang, lost in thought, murmured to himself, I haven't seen Liang Er these past few days. Madam said she was ill and recovering inside the city. She'll be back to welcome guests once she's better. Under the lonely moonlight, he composed a poem, Spring wind doesn't understand the sick man's heart, Red Mansion guests come laughing through tears, life is like drifting duckweed full of bitterness, the sick can hardly keep a joyful smile. Ning Yiwan suddenly approached, looking at him in astonishment and asked, you know how to write poetry? He Qin Yang, startled, looked bewildered and forced an awkward smile, replying, I just made it up on the spot. On the other side, the wealthy guest was joyfully embracing Liang Er, saying, Liang Er, my dear, my patron, I will remember you until death. Finally, if Hua Shui Tower can bring down the matter, then I will remember you until my guts are broken. He Qin Yang couldn't help but exclaim, is it really necessary to remember until your guts are broken? The wealthy guest joyfully embraced the beautiful woman into the room, saying, sing a song for me in a bit, sing 18 touches, that's my favorite. Liang Er pouted, disgusting, you are truly lowly. He Qin Yang suddenly felt something, he stared intently at the two in front, the wealthy guest kept laughing out loud, I am indeed lowly, doesn't Liang Er like me lowly? Liang Er's eyes suddenly glanced back, with a somewhat unusual expression, he suddenly caught that gaze, his eyebrows furrowed in suspicion, but he couldn't guess it at the moment. The door closed with a bang. He Qin Yang was still thinking about the strange feeling he had just now. Why does Liang Er's aura feel a bit different than before, and why do I have a familiar feeling, have I been here for long? He Qin Yang stood beside Qin Lian Xian and Ning Yiwan, a little puzzled. He asked Ning Yiwan, senior sister, the demon clan clearly knows we are here watching over, and still dares to come, maybe this time they won't use demon magic to kill people, just randomly find a man and suck. Then use some primitive way to cut the kidneys, wouldn't that work? Ning Yiwan puzzled, what do you mean by primitive way of cutting the kidneys? He described with a sinister look, it means not using magic, just using a knife directly, if done like that, demon energy will be revealed. Ning Yiwan suddenly realized, if that's the case, tonight many people will search each room where people have died early. This monster is extremely cunning, choosing a time when many people are taking action, making it even harder to detect. He Qin Yang raised his hand to affirm his speculation. The proverb says the most dangerous place is the safest place, killing someone right in front of us for the kidneys, isn't that even more exciting? He thought about the strange look Liang Er gave him earlier. We know what that familiar feeling was just now, hopefully we are overthinking it, He Qin Yang solemnly suggested. I don't know what it is, but right now I really want to do something. Ning Yiwan wondered what was going on. Without a word, he rushed out very quickly, his face turning dangerous. He Qin Yang rushed towards the opposite room. And Ning Yiwan momentarily didn't understand what he was trying to do. The room where Liang Er and the old guest had entered earlier still had the lights on. He kicked the door open. With a bang, Liang Er immediately turned around to see He Qin Yang entering, and the old guest from earlier was lying dead on the ground, blood forming a large pool, his large hand already immersed in the blood. With a cold gaze, he stared ahead at the crowd in front of him. Liang Er held a blood-stained knife in her hand. She looked panicked and exclaimed, "He young master, this is..." A sudden rock flew towards Liang Er's hand, knocking the knife out. She was immediately attacked and screamed. Ning Yiwan had thrown the rock. She sternly scolded, "Devil." Liang Er appeared weak, tears streaming down her face, trembling, looking pitifully at the young master. He Qin Yang was momentarily taken aback by her weak appearance. Seizing the opportunity, she jumped out of the window to escape. He and Ning Yiwan yelled in unison, "Don't run." Liang Er, cunningly, ran away immediately. Ning Yiwan quickly jumped out of the window to chase after her, shouting, "Stop." In the room, He Qin Yang took out a blue pill and quickly forced it into the old man's mouth. "Whether you live or die doesn't matter, but I don't want her to bear another life on her, consider yourself lucky." Liang Er, in horror, had been running for a while, her breathing heavy, her steps getting faster, Ning Yiwan's voice constantly echoing, "Where are you running?" Qin Lian Xian and Ning Yiwan resolutely followed close behind. Ning Yiwan assigned the tasks, "Miss Qin, you block from behind, and I'll go ahead to intercept her." Qin Lian Xian gently responded, "All right." Liang Er, drenched in sweat, anxiously glanced at the two pursuers behind her. Ning Yiwan, running and chanting a Buddhist mantra, caused a green light to appear on her fingertips. Spiritual energy was summoned, and the green light lifted Ning Yiwan's steps, gradually allowing her to fly up. In an instant, she soared into the air and flew over Liang Er. Liang Er's eyes widened in surprise, unable to react in time. Ning Yiwan landed majestically in front of Liang Er, forcing her to stop. Trapped and unable to advance or retreat. Holding her sword, Ning Yiwan shouted, "Demon, do you think you can escape from me again?" Her eyes were sharp and decisive. "You have no way to run now." Qin Lian Xian arrived with her spiritual pet, seeing Liang Er and shouting, "Wretched creature." She decisively threw her spirit beasts towards Liang Er, exclaiming, "Where can you run now?" A loud explosion echoed, and white smoke filled the air. The fat cat from earlier unexpectedly transformed into a fierce tiger. Two red eyes, sharp claws. Liang Er opened his eyes in fear. Before he could do anything, the fierce tiger opposite roared loudly. Qin Lian Xian saw his spiritual pet so majestic, proud and praised, so cool. From a distance, He Qin Yang rushed over and shouted, "Ning's senior sister, wait, wait, wait," just as he hurriedly passed Ning Yiwan. He Qin Yang quickly explained, "First clarify why she took the kidney." He knew that Liang Er was transformed by the fox demon Ding Min, and he worried, "I still can't accept her as Ding Min, otherwise it will be difficult to explain to senior sister our relationship." Ding Min in the appearance of Liang Er seemed to have something to say. She stared at He Qin Yang. Ning Yiwan immediately asked her, "Why did you come to Hua Shui Tower to take the kidney? Where is Liang Er?" Ding Min looked away, refused to speak. Ning Yiwan tightened the sword in her hand, whispered, "You don't have to speak, I just need to know you have killed dozens of people. It's enough to change the sky and the earth." At this point, the other party smirked disdainfully, "Haha, changing the sky and earth, this lady thinks that heavenly Tao favors humans, and other races should all die, right?" Ding Min's face suddenly turned sad. "You members of the demon clan unreasonably kill human cultivators, is that changing the sky and earth in any way?" Ning Yi-wan remained firm and said, "But you killed people." Ding Min, in the guise of Liang Air, could no longer keep calm, angrily exclaimed, "Because those men deserve to die." He Qin Yang, seeing the situation, immediately spoke up, "Senior sister, this is a task I have taken, let me handle it." Ning Yi-wan, hesitant, replied, "In this demonic realm, can you handle it?" He Qin Yang's expression was complicated, but he sternly answered, "Yes." Ning Yi-wan finally agreed, "Can I stand aside and watch?" He Qin Yang replied softly, "Yes." Then he looked straight at the person in front and asked, "Lady, can you tell me why you killed those people?" Ding Min found himself in a dilemma, feeling incredibly conflicted. He young master is now the junior brother of that nun, probably not wanting to reveal his identity. He young master is the benefactor of our Fox clan, I cannot let him fall into a disadvantageous position. At this moment, Ding Min's fox tail finally appeared, causing He Qin Yang to look at her with hesitation. Ding Min quickly transformed back to her original form, and with a hint of sadness in her voice, she spoke, 2 years ago, our family saved a scholar in Zhuoyao County. He Qin Yang, slightly avoiding the topic, sighed, I can almost guess the rest of the story. At the same time, Ding Min's voice suddenly turned resentful. I saved him from the bandits, and even gave him treasures of gold and silver. As she recounted the scholar's words to her, Min, I promise to never forget your kindness. Ding Min continued, he said he wanted to take the imperial examination, touched by his ambition, I helped him as he seemed like someone with potential. Yet, someone told me he didn't study at all, just spent his days playing at the Hua Shui Tower. Squandering all the money I gave him without leaving a single cent, Ding Min recounted, her anger causing her to tremble. I went to Hua Shui Tower to uncover the truth, only to witness him frolicking with Liang Air. Realizing that his deeds were about to be exposed, he accused me of being from the demon clan, plotting to take his life. The Dragon Flying Division, following the clues he provided, found and massacred my clan members and me. Fortunately, with the help of an expert, I and 3 of my sisters managed to escape. As she spoke, Ding Min could no longer hold back her tears from the overwhelming grief. She continued, all my other clan members are dead. How innocent they were. Despite the tears streaming down her face, her voice had turned cold and resolute. That's why I want to kill all those despicable men, to make them die in shame, without any dignity. Ding Min decisively wiped away her tears. I've finished speaking. I can't run anymore, so kill me if you wish, she declared. He Qin Yang, not rushing to judgment, turned to Ning Yi-wan and asked, Senior sister, what do you think? Ning Yi-wan, perhaps moved by the story, turned away and said, this is your task, you handle it yourself. With that, she promptly flew away on her sword. Qin Lian Xian followed suit, riding her spirit beasts and calling out, let's go, as she chased after Ning Yi-wan, leaving He Qin Yang and Ding Min alone. He Qin Yang turned to Ding Min, expressing his gratitude, thank you, Miss Ding Min, for helping me conceal my identity. Ding Min weakly replied, thank you, he young master. Suddenly, her body seemed to give out, and she couldn't stand. He Qin Yang quickly caught her as she fell, worriedly calling out, Miss Ding. Ding Min, trembling, said, the expert who helped us was someone from the He family. He Qin Yang finally understood, no wonder she said the He family was her benefactor. Ding Min continued, my life is in your hands, young master. After pondering for a moment, He Qin Yang calmly responded, if I let you go, my senior sister Ning will not spare you. There is only one way to save you now. Filled with hope, Ding Min immediately asked, what way? He Qin Yang looked straight at her and firmly asked, can you become my spiritual pet? The story ends here, see you in the next episode.